Have you ever felt a heavy weight pressing on your chest, only to hear a small, reassuring voice inside whisper, "It's not that big a deal"? It's strange, isn't it? How our minds try to hush our feelings when they're shouting the loudest. This little whisper is one of the soft tricks we play on ourselves. It's how we shrink a worry, a fear, or a pain down to something we can hold, or at least set aside for a while. Here's what's really happening. Your brain is trying to protect you. Think of it like this. You see a huge fence in front of you, but your mind tells you it's just a low wall. Why? So you feel brave enough to step over it. Centuries ago, ancient Stoics in Greece talked about this idea in their own way. They believed you should only try to control what you can control. Telling yourself it's not that big a deal isn't exactly the same, but it's our modern version, a mental shield we raise when life feels too heavy. Picture this. You've spent hours perfecting a drawing for art class. Then, someone bumps into it and spills water all over it. Your heart drops, your throat tightens, but almost immediately that quiet voice steps in. It's just a drawing, it's fine. Maybe you even say it out loud to the person who ruined it, brushing it off. Inside, you're frustrated, but telling yourself it's small helps you let go, pick up a fresh sheet of paper, and start again. This small lie, "It's not that big a deal," can be a gift. It keeps tiny setbacks from swallowing us whole. It helps us move through the bumps and bruises of life without getting stuck. It softens the edges of moments that might otherwise leave us spiraling. But here's the catch. If we tell ourselves this too often, or about things that truly matter, we risk ignoring wounds that need care. If we bury every feeling under "it's fine," we might lose sight of what our hearts are really trying to say. Like any shield, it protects, but it can also hide. And that brings us to another familiar phrase, "I'm fine." Have you ever said it when you were anything but fine? We all have. It slips out so easily when someone asks how we're doing. It's the tiniest lie, but one of the most powerful. Why do we do it? Because "I'm fine" is armor. It smooths over awkward questions. It keeps our private storms from spilling out at the wrong moment. For centuries, people have been told to hold themselves together to keep a stiff upper lip, to not show too much. We've inherited that script. Imagine this. You bomb a math test, and a friend asks, "How'd it go?" Your stomach is in knots, but you just shrug and mumble, "I'm fine." You don't want to talk about it. Maybe you don't want to ruin their mood. Maybe you don't even have the words yet, so you tuck the truth away for later. This simple lie is really a promise to ourselves. I'll handle it, even if handling it just means surviving the next 5 minutes. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes "I'm fine" is our way of saying, "Not now, not here, but I'll be okay." So yes, these quiet lies help us. They keep us steady when we need to be steady. They protect us when we're not ready to open up. But every now and then, we have to lift that armor and check what's underneath, because the truth we hide might be the thing that sets us free. Have you ever had one of those days where everything just feels a bit heavy? Maybe you messed up on a project, or argued with a friend, or just felt tired and gloomy for no real reason. In those moments, what's one of the first things you tell yourself? Probably something like, "Tomorrow will be better." Here's the thing. This isn't just a simple wish. It's one of the most powerful lies we tell ourselves. It's not always a factual promise, but it's a deeply human way to keep going. This idea means that even when today is tough, there's a chance for a fresh start. It's like hitting a reset button in our minds. For thousands of years, people have looked to the next day, the next season, or the next cycle for hope. Ancient farmers, for example, knew that even after a harsh winter, spring would eventually return, bringing new life. Philosophers too talked about resilience and looking forward. They understood that focusing too much on past struggles can trap us. So this idea of tomorrow being better helps us push through. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a video game and you've just lost a tough level. You feel frustrated. But instead of quitting, you tell yourself, "Okay, I'll try again tomorrow. I'll learn from my mistakes." That belief in a better next attempt is what gets you to press restart or come back to the game. It doesn't mean tomorrow's attempt will definitely be perfect, but it gives you the energy to try. So this quiet belief that tomorrow holds something better isn't really a lie meant to deceive. It's a gentle kind of magic our minds use. It's the silent promise of possibility. And that possibility, even if it's just a whisper, is enough to carry us through the darkest parts of today. It reminds us that things can change, and that's a beautiful thought to hold on to. Have you ever felt like everyone else just gets it? Like there's some secret guide to life, and you were the only one who missed it? It's a quiet, sneaky feeling, isn't it? This idea that everyone around you understands things easily, how to be confident, how to handle tough emotions, how to simply exist without a constant hum of worry. This belief is one of the most common lies we tell ourselves to feel okay, even when it actually makes us feel more alone. It's the lie that whispers, "I'm the only one struggling," or "they all have it figured out." We look at friends, teachers, even people on television, and build a picture of perfect understanding. But here's the thing. That picture is usually just a story we tell ourselves. Even ancient thinkers, like those in old Greece, knew what people show outside isn't always what's truly happening inside. They understood we all wear different masks, trying to navigate the world. They spoke of looking past appearances to find deeper human experience. Think about social media. You scroll through feeds, seeing perfect vacations, glowing smiles, big achievements. It looks like everyone's life is a highlight reel. But you don't see the messy drafts, the failed attempts, the quiet worries behind the screen. It's like seeing only the finished painting, never the smudges or discarded sketches. Every person you admire who seems to have it all together is also figuring things out, one day at a time. They're also telling themselves little lies to keep moving forward. And understanding this can be a quiet comfort. It reminds us we're not alone in our confusion or feeling lost. We're all connected by this very human journey of trying to understand ourselves and the world. We're all just trying our best, often feeling the same things, even when it looks like others have it perfectly clear. This shared vulnerability is a much truer picture than the lie of struggling on your own. Have you ever felt a sharp sting from someone's words, only to hear a whisper, "Oh, they didn't really mean it"? This is a gentle lie we often tell ourselves. It's when someone says or does something that cuts deep, but we choose to believe they didn't mean to harm us. We separate their actions from their true intent. This helps us forgive, or at least soften the blow. Here's the thing. It's a way our minds try to keep peace. It's easier to think they were just having a bad day, or they didn't think before they spoke, than to wrestle with the idea that maybe their words were careless. Even ancient philosophers, like Aristotle, thought about intention. They wondered if the result mattered more than the intent. In law, intent can decide if something is a crime or an accident. It's often simpler to believe someone didn't mean it than to face the idea that people sometimes cause pain without even realizing it, or that their true feelings are hard to accept. Imagine a friend makes a joke that makes you feel small. It hurts. But then another friend says they didn't mean anything by it. You might believe that like a soft blanket over the hurt. It's easier than feeling angry at your friend or wondering if they truly care. Or when a parent snaps because they're stressed, you tell yourself, they're just tired. They didn't mean to yell. This small lie, they didn't mean it, protects our feelings in the moment, but it's also important to see what it covers up. Sometimes, people do say things that show carelessness or a deeper feeling, even if they didn't mean to sting. And sometimes, what's said just doesn't land as expected. Understanding this lie means we can see the space between what is spoken and what is heard, and how we often fill that gap with stories that help us stay calm and connected, even when the world feels a little sharp. Have you ever found yourself in a tricky spot? Like when something goes wrong, and the very first thought that pops into your head is, it wasn't my fault. Maybe you spilled juice, and you think the glass was too full. Or you forgot your homework, and you blame, the dog ate my planner. This simple phrase is a powerful shield we use. It's a quick way our minds try to protect us when something embarrassing happens, or when we feel a sudden rush of shame. Here's the thing. This lie is one of the oldest ways humans try to stay sane. For thousands of years, people have wondered about blame and responsibility. Ancient thinkers, even back in Greece, talked about destiny versus our own choices. They asked, are we truly free to decide everything, or are some things just meant to happen no matter what we do? Even then, people look for reasons outside themselves when things went wrong, hoping to find comfort in the idea that it wasn't all on them. It's a natural human trick to shift the spotlight when we feel exposed. Think about a time you tried to bake cookies and they came out burnt. It's easy to say the oven is broken or the recipe was wrong. But maybe, just maybe, you forgot to set the timer or you put the heat too high. See, blaming the oven or the recipe feels better in the moment. It saves us from that sting of failure. So, this lie, "it wasn't my fault," can give us a moment of peace. It offers a soft landing when life feels hard or unfair. It helps us avoid feeling bad right away. But here's what I found. While it might feel safe, always believing it wasn't your fault means you never really look at what you could have done differently. It can stop you from learning and growing. Sometimes, understanding our own part, even a small one, is the first step to truly getting better, to building real strength inside ourselves. Have you ever looked at your homework and heard a quiet voice say, "I'll start soon"? Then you didn't. Not right away anyway. Maybe you scrolled on your phone, watched a video, or just stared at the wall. This isn't just about putting things off. It's one of those soft lies we tell ourselves to feel better right now. It's a trick our mind plays. When a big task like homework feels heavy, our brain tries to protect us. It whispers, "Don't worry now. The future you will handle it." This little promise, "I'll start soon," gives us a small break. It pushes the stress away just for a moment. People have done this for a long time. Even ancient thinkers knew how hard it is to start tough things. It's just human to want comfort and avoid what feels difficult, even if we know it needs doing. We imagine a future where the task is easier or where we have more energy. It's like when you have a chore you really don't want to do, like cleaning your room. You might think, "I'll get to that this weekend," even if you know your weekend is packed. That thought isn't about doing the chore. It's about making yourself feel less stressed right now. It's a tiny shield against feeling overwhelmed. So when we say, "I'll start my homework soon," it's not always weakness. Sometimes it's our mind trying to manage a heavy feeling to give us a brief calm before a challenge. It's a tender deception, a hope that the future will be easier. It reminds us that even our small untruths come from a need for peace. Have you ever felt like a tough moment will last forever? Or that a really happy time just couldn't possibly end? Sometimes, when things feel really hard or really amazing, we forget that everything changes. This too shall pass is a simple but powerful idea. It means that whatever you're going through, good feelings, bad feelings, big challenges, small joys, it won't last forever. It will shift, change, or move on. Think of it like an old piece of wisdom. Story goes, a king once asked his wise people to find a phrase that would make him happy when sad and humble when happy. They came back with, "This too shall pass." It's been around for ages, showing up in old Persian stories and even in tales about King Solomon. It's a reminder that life is always flowing, like a river. Imagine you have a really big test coming up and you're super stressed. It feels like this pressure will never go away, but then the test is over, right? And maybe you feel relieved or ready for the next thing. Or think about a perfect summer day with friends. It feels endless and wonderful, but eventually the sun sets and the day is done. The memory stays, but that exact moment passes. So, what does this mean for us? It's not about being sad when things are good or giving up when things are tough. Instead, it's a quiet truth. When you're feeling down, it can be a whisper of hope. This hard feeling will soften. When you're feeling really great, it can be a gentle nudge to really soak in that joy. These moments are precious precisely because they are fleeting. It helps us remember to breathe, to be present, and to trust in the constant movement of life. Everything shifts, and that's just how it works. Have you ever felt like you went through something huge, something that changed you deep down, but then you looked around and it seemed like no one else even saw it? Like the world just kept moving, totally unaware? This feeling taps into a secret part of us. It's about the silent battles we fight, the private truths we hold, and sometimes the quiet lies we whisper to ourselves just to get through the day. These aren't bad lies, usually. They're more like secret agreements we make with our own minds. Maybe it's convincing yourself that a really embarrassing moment wasn't as bad as it felt, or that a hard loss taught you something important, even if it just feels like pain right now. These are mental shifts that happen only inside your head. Nobody sees the quiet moment you choose to forgive someone, or the second you decide to be brave instead of scared. Think about how people have always talked about the inner life. Philosophers, for thousands of years, have pondered this. Ancient Greek thinkers like Plato talked about the soul and how our thoughts were separate from the world outside. Later, people like René Descartes thought about how our minds were these private places where only we could truly know what was going on. This idea that our thoughts and feelings are completely our own is old and deep. It means we all carry hidden worlds inside us. So, imagine you're feeling really down about something. Maybe you didn't make the team you wanted, or you messed up a project. Inside, you feel like a storm is raging, but then you take a deep breath. You tell yourself, it's okay, this isn't the end. I'll try again, or I'll find something new. To you, that's a huge mental shift, a way of moving forward. But on the outside, to your friends walking by, you just look normal. Nobody sees the battle you just won inside yourself. Nobody notices that quiet moment when you picked yourself back up. And that's the thing. Sometimes, the most important changes happen quietly within us. They are not for show. They are just for us. And that's okay. Have you ever said, I don't care, when deep down you really did? Maybe it was about a grade on a test, or not getting picked for a team, or something a friend said that stung. That quiet whisper, I don't care anyway, is one of those gentle lies we tell ourselves. It's a shield, a soft blanket we pull over our feelings when they get too big or too sharp. Here's the thing, our minds are amazing at protecting us. When something feels like it might hurt, or when we face a big disappointment, our brain looks for a way out. And sometimes, the easiest way out is to pretend we don't feel anything at all. It's like a tiny secret agreement with ourselves. If I act like this doesn't matter, then it can't really hurt me. This idea isn't new. For a long time, thinkers have talked about how we cope with pain. Some ancient philosophers thought the best way to deal with life's ups and downs was to learn not to be bothered by them. But this I don't care lie is a shortcut. It's not truly letting go, but pushing the feeling away. It's a defense mechanism, a quick way to stay sane in the moment. Think about it like this. Imagine you've spent weeks practicing a tricky piece for a music concert, and then you mess up a big part during your performance. Your heart might race, you feel embarrassed, but then you might shrug and tell yourself, oh, I don't care, it was just one mistake, no big deal. You might even laugh about it. That immediate reaction helps you get off stage without falling apart. It helps you keep going. This lie can be helpful in small doses. It lets us brush off minor disappointments and keep moving forward without getting stuck. But if we rely on I don't care too much, we might start losing touch with our true feelings. We might stop knowing what truly excites us or what truly matters. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit that we do care even when it hurts a little. Because caring deeply is what makes us truly human. It's how we learn, how we grow, and how we connect with the world around us. Have you ever looked around and wondered, is my life normal? It's a question many of us quietly ask. We tell ourselves this story. My life is normal, often even when things feel wild or messy on the inside. It's a quiet promise we make, a way to keep things steady. Here's the thing, this isn't necessarily a bad lie. It's more like a comfort. Our minds really like predictability. When we believe our lives are normal, we feel safer. We feel like we know what's coming next, or at least that we belong. It helps us deal with the unexpected parts of growing up. Think about people long ago. They built towns and made rules, not just because it was practical. They did it because it helped everyone feel part of something predictable, a shared world. Many thinkers, people who thought deeply about human nature, have talked for centuries about how much we crave order. We want the world to make sense, even when it's full of surprises. This desire for normal is deep in us. It's a bit like watching a calm lake. On the surface, everything looks still and peaceful. But underneath, there are hidden currents, fish swimming, changes happening all the time. Our lives can feel like that lake. We often show that calm surface to the world, even if there's a lot moving beneath our own calm. Maybe you see other kids who seem to have everything perfectly figured out. They seem easygoing, happy, and you might think, I need to be like that. My life needs to be as normal as theirs. But here's what I found. Everyone has their own currents, their own wildness inside. They're just good at showing their calm surface too. So the lie of my life is normal isn't about being fake. It's often about creating a gentle space, a story that helps us breathe when the world feels overwhelming. And maybe, just maybe, the real normal isn't about everything being perfectly smooth, but about accepting all the beautiful, messy parts and finding peace right there. Have you ever said or heard someone say, "I'm just tired"? It's such a simple phrase, isn't it? We use it often. A quick answer when we feel run down, or when someone asks why we seem a little off. But what if sometimes "I'm just tired" isn't really about needing more sleep? What if it's one of those quiet lies we tell ourselves, a soft curtain we pull across something deeper? Here's the thing. Sometimes being tired is actually a code word for something else. It might mean I'm overwhelmed, or I'm worried about tomorrow, or even I feel a little sad and don't know why. It's an easy way out, a general excuse that lets us avoid looking too closely at the real feeling bubbling underneath. It keeps us from having to explain a fear or a deep sadness we don't quite understand yet. Even ancient thinkers understood this. Philosophers long ago, like the Stoics, believed in looking closely at our thoughts and feelings. They'd say that true wisdom comes from knowing yourself, from not just accepting the first answer your mind gives you. They taught that we should try to understand the true source of our discomfort, rather than just brushing it aside. For them, being truly well meant being honest about what was happening inside. Think about it like this. Imagine your brain is like a computer. Sometimes, when a program isn't working, the computer might just say, "error." But the real problem could be anything from not enough memory to a virus. "I'm just tired" is often that simple error message, covering up a more complex feeling inside us, like stress from too much homework, or the quiet fear of trying something new. And so, when that familiar whisper, "I'm just tired," crosses your mind, maybe pause for a moment. Ask yourself softly, is that all it is? Or is there something else trying to tell me its story? Sometimes, listening to that deeper echo is the first step not just to true rest, but to real understanding. It's okay if the answer is complicated. Being honest with yourself is a kind of gentle strength. Do you ever find yourself wishing, deep down, that a tough moment or big change would just disappear? That everything would snap back to how it was before? This quiet hope is often a story our minds tell us to feel safe. It's the lie that whispers, "Don't worry, this isn't permanent. Soon, everything will be exactly the same." But here's the thing. Life doesn't often work that way. The world is always moving, always shifting. Think about a river. An ancient Greek thinker named Heraclitus once said, "You can't step into the same river twice. The water is always flowing, always new." Like that river, our lives are always flowing forward. Things change. Seasons, friendships, even ourselves. That old familiar feeling might not return in the exact same way. This lie helps us avoid the hurt that comes with losing something or seeing it change. It's like when your favorite park gets a new path. For a while, you keep picturing it how it was, hoping the old trees or familiar bench will magically reappear. Or maybe a close friendship shifts, and you tell yourself, "We'll go back to being inseparable." It feels comforting to believe things just press pause and then go back. But here's the quiet truth. Sometimes, things don't go back. And that's not always bad. Accepting change as part of life, like the tide coming in and out, can be difficult. But it also opens up space for new things, new paths, and new ways of being. It's okay to remember the past, but also to gently understand that the present, with all its changes, has its own unique beauty and lessons. Have you ever felt a strong emotion or gone through a big change, and someone just said, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a phase"? It's common to hear, especially as you're growing up. But what does that really mean, and why do we say it? When we tell ourselves or others it's just a phase, we're trying to make a big feeling or a sudden shift seem less permanent. It's like putting a temporary label on something that feels huge. Maybe you love a new kind of music, or get really passionate about a cause, or decide your whole style needs to change. It's a comforting thought, a whisper that tells us even intense feelings might not last forever. This idea that things are temporary has been around for a long time. The ancient Greek thinker Heraclitus believed everything is always changing. He said you can't step into the same river twice because both you and the river are always moving. Life, he thought, is like that river always flowing, never still. Calling something a phase is our human way of managing all that flow, a way to feel safe when life feels uncertain. Think about how your favorite things change. Last year you loved superhero movies, and this year you're into sci-fi books. Or maybe you were obsessed with a video game, and now you've moved on. These aren't failures. They're just parts of your journey. Each felt important then, but now it shifts. Here's the thing. While many interests and feelings do pass, saying it's just a phase can also be a small lie we tell ourselves. It can stop us from seeing how each phase, no matter how brief, actually shapes us. Every feeling, every interest, every change leaves a mark. So, while the river flows, the path it carves changes with every drop. Each phase might be temporary, but it's also a step in becoming who you are, adding to your unique story. Have you ever stood tall, maybe even puffed out your chest a little, and said, "I'm not scared"? It's a powerful line, isn't it? A kind of shield we hold up, not just for others to see, but sometimes for ourselves. This little lie helps us face things that feel too big or too hard. It's like a whisper of courage we tell our own hearts, hoping it comes true. This idea of telling ourselves we're not afraid has been around forever. Imagine ancient warriors heading into a huge battle or explorers sailing into unknown seas. They might have told themselves, "I'm not scared," to keep moving forward even when their knees were shaking. Philosophers, like the Stoics, talked about facing scary things. They taught about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. That calm approach can feel like a quiet way of saying, "Fear won't stop me." Think about it. Maybe you're about to give a big presentation in class or try out for a new sports team. Your stomach might be doing flips, but when a friend asks if you're nervous, you might just say, "Nah, I'm good." That's it. You're telling yourself and them a small fib to calm those butterflies, to step onto that stage, or to try out for the team. It's a trick your mind plays to help you get through it. Here's the thing. This lie isn't about making fear vanish. It's often about giving ourselves that first nudge, that moment of courage to push through something tough. Real bravery isn't about never feeling fear. It's about feeling it. Maybe saying, "I'm not scared" for a moment, and then choosing to act. It's okay to feel scared. In fact, sometimes that shiver of fear just means you're about to do something truly brave, something that matters. And that in itself is a powerful truth. Have you ever said that? Or heard someone else say it? "I'm so busy. I don't have time. My schedule is crazy." It feels true, right? Like we're all running a race we can never win. But here's a thought. Sometimes "I'm so busy" is a lie we tell ourselves. Not always on purpose, but a way our minds try to keep things steady. This lie isn't about being lazy. It's often about feeling important. If you're busy, it must mean people need you, or you're achieving things. Maybe it's a way to avoid something uncomfortable, like quiet time with your own thoughts, or facing a tough decision. When we're constantly moving, there's less space for difficult feelings to surface. Think about it. For a long time across history, being busy wasn't always seen as a good thing. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosophers, actually valued quiet time and deep thought. They believed real wisdom came from slowing down, not rushing around. But in our modern world, especially with phones and constant demands, busyness has become like a badge of honor. We look at someone with a packed schedule and think, "Wow, they must be really successful." Here's the thing. Imagine your brain like a computer with too many tabs open. Every notification, every task, every social media scroll, that's a new tab. Eventually, your computer slows down, maybe even crashes. We can be doing a lot, but are we really achieving much, or just feeling overwhelmed? This lie keeps us in motion, pretending we're on top of things, when maybe we're just avoiding what truly matters. So, maybe the real courage isn't in being busy all the time. Maybe it's in admitting we need a break. Maybe it's about closing some tabs and finding stillness. Because sometimes the quiet spaces are where we truly understand ourselves, not in the rush. It's okay to not be busy. It's okay to just be. Have you ever found yourself saying, "No, I'm fine. I don't need any help," even when you secretly felt completely swamped? It's a common moment, a little whisper we tell ourselves and others. This quiet declaration, "I don't need help," can be a powerful lie we use to stay sane. We tell it to believe we are strong, capable, and completely in control. It's like building an invisible wall around ourselves, trying to prove we can handle everything alone. Historically, humans have often admired the idea of the lone wolf, the individual who conquers challenges all by themselves. Think of ancient myths where heroes face enormous odds without a single ally, or modern stories of people who achieve great things purely through their own grit. This idea of self-reliance is deeply woven into our cultures. Philosophers, too, have explored the strength of the individual mind. But even the wisest people understood that communities are built on connections, on people supporting each other. Imagine a scientist trying to solve a huge, complex puzzle all by themselves. They might stare at it for hours, feeling frustrated. But if they just shared a small piece of the problem with a friend or colleague, that other person might see the missing link right away. It's not about being unable, it's about seeing new angles. When we refuse help, we might be missing out on fresh perspectives or a lighter load. It's like trying to carry a huge stack of books when someone could easily take half. You might struggle and drop them all, when a helping hand would have made the journey easy. So this lie, I don't need help, is less about being truly independent and more about a fear of seeming weak or like a burden. But here's the thing, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a quiet strength. It shows you know your limits and you trust others enough to let them in. It's a beautiful human act connecting us, and it often makes us all a little saner, knowing we're not truly alone. Have you ever felt a deep twist in your gut thinking, that's just not fair? Maybe someone got something they didn't earn, or life handed you a tough lesson you didn't ask for. It's a common ache, this feeling that things should be balanced, equal, or just. But here's the thing, often they aren't. And that idea that life isn't always fair is one of those quiet truths we sometimes try to ignore to keep our calm. This feeling, this acceptance, isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of the heavy burden of expecting everything to be perfectly just. It's about understanding that the world doesn't owe us a smooth ride or an equal share of luck. Sometimes, bad things happen to good people. Sometimes, good things happen to people who didn't try very hard. It just is. Long ago, thinkers like the Stoics in ancient Greece and Rome talked about this. They believed that much of our unhappiness comes from wanting things to be different than they are. A philosopher named Epictetus, who was once a slave, taught that we can't control outside events, like how others act or what fortune brings, but we can control our reactions. His idea was simple. Accept what you can't change and focus your energy on what you can. That's where real freedom comes from. Think about a soccer game. One team might play their hearts out, really give it their all, but then a sudden gust of wind catches the ball, or the referee makes a tough call that goes against them. They still lose. It feels unfair, doesn't it? All that effort for nothing. But the wind doesn't care about fairness. The ball doesn't care. Life in many ways is like that. It throws unexpected curveballs, regardless of how much we deserve a win. So when we face these moments, accepting it's not fair can actually be incredibly freeing. It means we stop wasting energy on anger or bitterness about something we can't change. Instead, we can breathe, look at what's in front of us, and decide how we want to move forward. It doesn't mean we stop trying for good things or stop fighting for justice where we can make a difference. It just means we understand that sometimes the world just works in ways that don't make sense, and that's okay. We find our own peace within that wild, unpredictable flow. Have you ever felt like you're trying really, really hard, but it just doesn't feel like enough? That feeling often comes from a quiet lie we tell ourselves, I'm doing my best. On the surface, it sounds good, right? Like an excuse. But sometimes, it's a shield. We say it to ourselves not because we're slacking, but because we feel overwhelmed. It's a way to quiet the inner voice that whispers we should be perfect, do more, be better. It's the mind trying to protect itself from stress, to find a little peace in a demanding world. Think about this idea. For centuries, thinkers have talked about how humans cope. Ancient Greek philosophers, like the Stoics, understood that we can't control everything. They believed our job is to do our part, our best in the moment, and accept what we can't change. It wasn't about being lazy. It was about understanding your limits and finding peace within them. Later, even in different cultures, like with Buddhist teachings, there's a focus on right effort, doing what's appropriate and possible, without pushing beyond what's healthy or realistic. It's a way of being kind to yourself. Imagine you've got a huge project due, and you stayed up late, worked hard, and still didn't finish every single part perfectly. When you say, "I'm doing my best," it's not a lie to your teacher. It's a message to your own brain saying, "Hey, I tried. I put in the effort. This is what I could do right now with the time and energy I had." It helps you breathe. It lets go of the crushing weight of expecting impossible perfection. So this lie isn't about fooling others. It's often about finding a gentle acceptance for ourselves. It's about recognizing that our best isn't always the same. Some days, your best might be climbing a mountain. Other days, your best might just be getting out of bed. And that's okay. It's a quiet promise to yourself that you are worthy of kindness, even when things are tough. Have you ever put something off, telling yourself you'll get to it eventually? Maybe it's a chore, homework you really don't want to do, or even a conversation you feel nervous about having. That quiet whisper, "There's always next time," can feel like a soft blanket on a chilly night. It's one of the kindest lies we tell ourselves, a way to gently push away what feels hard or uncomfortable right now. This idea that the future holds unlimited chances has always been a part of how people think. For thousands of years, humans have faced tasks and decisions, and sometimes the easiest path has been to delay. Thinkers from long ago, like the ancient Greeks, often wondered about time itself. They knew that moments slip away, but also that hope can make us believe in endless tomorrows. This lie acts like a comforting promise. The pressure of now can simply wait. It helps us breathe, especially when we feel overwhelmed. Consider a student staring at a big essay due tomorrow. The clock ticks, but a voice inside says, "Oh, I'll just wake up early and finish it." This isn't laziness. It's often a coping mechanism. It's a small mental trick to escape the immediate stress. We imagine a future version of ourselves, one who is rested, ready, and able to tackle the task with ease. And for a moment, that thought brings relief. But here's the thing about next time. It's a promise we make to a future self who might face the same fears or even new ones. Sometimes next time never quite arrives, or it arrives with more challenges than we expected. So, while this gentle lie offers comfort, it also invites us to wonder, what if we face the challenge now with a little courage, knowing that this moment is the only one we truly own? It's a quiet question to carry with us, not a demand, but a gentle thought about the gifts of the present. Have you ever found yourself wishing that a perfect summer day or a really fun laugh with friends could just last forever? Or maybe, when you're going through something super tough, you just desperately want it to be over, believing it will never end? Here's the thing. We often tell ourselves, in different ways, that things will stay the same. We cling to what's good, hoping it won't change. And we get stuck in what's hard, fearing it will never pass. That quiet voice that says, this feeling, this moment, this challenge is going to last forever, is often one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves to feel safe, or sometimes to justify giving up. But here's the truth. Nothing truly lasts forever. Everything changes. Think about a river. The old Greek philosopher Heraclitus understood this a long, long time ago. He said, you can't step into the same river twice. Why? Because the water is always flowing, always new. What was there a second ago is gone, replaced by something different. It's kind of like that idea in some older teachings where they talk about anicca, a deep understanding that everything is impermanent. It means everything is always moving, always shifting, always becoming something else. It's not about being sad. It's about being real. Imagine a really great movie you love. You watch it, you enjoy it, and then the credits roll. It's over. The experience was wonderful, but the actual watching of it doesn't last. The same goes for tough moments. A big test at school might feel like the end of the world right now, but it will happen. You'll do your best, and then it's done. It passes. So, understanding that things won't last forever can actually be a really calm and powerful thought. It means we get to truly appreciate the good times even more, knowing they are special right now. And when things are hard, it reminds us to breathe and keep going, because the difficulty, too, is a moving river. It will flow onward, and new waters will come. Have you ever found yourself saying, I can handle it, even when a small voice inside whispered, no, you really can't? It's a common phrase, a quiet promise we make to ourselves, often when we're feeling overwhelmed or scared. We say it to chores piling up, to a tricky problem, or to a tough emotion. And here's the thing, sometimes it's true, we can handle it. But many times, it's one of those silent lies we tell ourselves to keep going, to avoid looking weak, or to just push through the discomfort. This idea of toughing it out, of facing everything alone, has deep roots. Think about old stories of heroes who never showed fear, or explorers who bravely faced unknown lands without complaining. For a long time, and even today in many ways, society has valued being strong and independent. There's a certain honor in bearing your burdens without a fuss. Ancient thinkers, for instance, talked about the importance of staying calm and steady no matter what life threw at you. They believed that showing emotion or admitting weakness could be a distraction. So this "I can handle it" is like a whisper from history, a lesson passed down about self-reliance. Imagine a kid who's got a huge science project due, a soccer game, and feels sick. But when a parent asks if they need help, they just say, "Nah, I'm good. I can handle it." Inside, they might be really stressed. This lie helps us pretend we're in control, even when we're losing it. It saves us from feeling vulnerable. But sometimes, holding on to this lie, this need to prove we're strong enough, can make things harder. It can stop us from reaching out for a hand, from sharing the load, and that's why it matters. Because while there's strength in trying to handle things, there's also a deep, quiet power in admitting when you can't. It's a different kind of bravery, the kind that lets others in, that allows for real connection. Maybe the real sanity comes not from pretending to handle everything, but from knowing when it's okay to let go, even just a little, and be honest about what you need. Have you ever messed up, like, really badly? Maybe you tripped and dropped all your lunch in the cafeteria, or said something totally awkward in class. For days, maybe even weeks, you replay it in your head. You just know everyone is still talking about it, right? And so, to calm that anxious feeling, we sometimes whisper this little lie to ourselves. They'll forget about it. This isn't always a lie of denial. Sometimes, it's a hope, a wish. It's the idea that the small slip-ups, the moments we feel most embarrassed about, won't stick around in other people's memories forever. It's like believing a tiny ripple in a pond will just smooth itself out and no one will ever know it was there. And here's the thing. Often this lie holds a good bit of truth. Think about it this way. Our own minds are usually busy with our stuff. We're thinking about what we need to do, what we said, what we're worried about. Other people are the same. Long ago, thinkers like the Stoics, who were really into living a calm, wise life, understood something important. They knew that most people are too wrapped up in their own lives and worries to spend much time dwelling on your little mistakes. It's not that they don't care about you, it's just that everyone has their own main character story going on. So, when you think back to that time you wore mismatched socks or blurted out the wrong answer, you might still remember it vividly, but for most other people, it was probably just a fleeting moment, like a thought bubble that popped quickly. It passed. It faded. This truth, wrapped in a hopeful lie, reminds us of something gentle. The biggest critic we often face is ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, it's okay to let go of those small, sharp memories we hold on to so tightly. The world keeps turning, and so do people's thoughts. Have you ever felt a sudden weight, like a giant question mark landed on your shoulders, and your very first thought was, "I'm too young for this"? It's a common whisper in our minds, a quiet excuse we sometimes use when life feels too big, too serious, or just too much. This isn't really about your age on a calendar. Instead, it's a clever trick our minds play to protect us. A soft shield we put up against things that feel overwhelming or too hard to face right now. It's a way of saying, I'm not ready for this truth, this responsibility, or this feeling. Here's the thing, people have felt this way for a very long time. Think about old stories, like the heroes in Greek myths or even characters in books you've read. They often feel unprepared for the huge tasks given to them. Take young King Arthur, for instance, who pulled the sword from the stone. He probably felt too young and unsure to lead a kingdom. Ancient thinkers also explored the idea that sometimes not knowing something painful can bring a kind of peace. This lie lets us pretend we don't have to deal with the heavy stuff yet, almost like hitting a pause button on a scary movie. Imagine you're in science class, and your teacher hands out a really complex problem. something you've never seen before. Your first reaction might be, I haven't learned enough for this, but sometimes the only way to learn is to try it, to fumble through it, even when it feels way over your head. Or when a friend comes to you with a really serious problem and you think, what can I even do? I'm just a kid. It's true you might not have all the answers, but you're never too young to listen, or to care, or to just be there. This lie, I'm too young for this, isn't always bad. It can give us a moment to catch our breath, a little space to process, but growth, the real kind of growing up, often happens when we gently step into things we feel unprepared for. Maybe too young is just another way of saying, not ready. And it's okay to feel that way. We don't have to have all the answers right away. Life doesn't always wait until we feel perfectly prepared. Sometimes, the most important lessons arrive when we least expect them, and even when we feel a little too young to learn them. Have you ever quietly wondered, is this just how things are meant to be? This is a common thought. It's the idea that whatever's happening in our lives, good or bad, is exactly how it's supposed to be. Maybe a difficult day at school, or a misunderstanding with a friend. We tell ourselves, it's just part of life. We use this idea to make sense of things, to find a calm feeling, or sometimes to avoid trying to change something hard. This way of thinking isn't new at all. People have believed this for thousands of years. Think about ancient times. People didn't have science to explain big events. If a strong storm hit, they might think, the gods wanted this. Or if someone fell sick, it's their fate. Many old philosophies talked about accepting what you couldn't control. The Stoics, ancient Greek thinkers, believed we should only focus on what we can do. They said we should calmly accept what we cannot. They shared the idea of not fighting the river but learning to swim with its current. This helped them find peace even when life was tough. Our brain actually uses this idea to help us. When something feels really hard or confusing, saying it's supposed to be this way helps our brain relax a bit. It's a coping trick, like a mental shortcut to less stress. Imagine you're playing a video game and you lose. Instead of getting super frustrated, you might just think, well, that was supposed to happen so I could learn this level better. You accept it and your mind is ready to try again. So thinking it's supposed to be this way isn't always bad. It helps us accept things we truly can't change. Things like the past or how other people decide to act. It can bring a quiet sense of peace. But here's the important thing. Sometimes we use this thought to avoid what we could change, something that shouldn't be this way. It's about knowing the difference. Are we truly accepting the river's path? Or are we just pretending so we don't have to try building a different way forward? It's a gentle question to ask ourselves. Have you ever felt a heavy weight on your shoulders, a quiet tiredness deep in your bones, but then whisper to yourself, I'm strong enough? This is a common lie we tell ourselves. It's when we pretend we can just keep going, that we don't need a break, or that we don't need help. We use this lie like a kind of shield, pushing through tough moments, trying to avoid showing any weakness. It's a way we trick our minds to power through. For a long time, in different cultures across history, people have admired those who seem unbreakable. Think about the heroes in old myths or the legendary figures in history books. They often appeared brave, unbeatable, and able to face anything alone. This idea of constant toughness has shaped how we think about being strong. It makes us feel like we always have to be the one who can handle it, no matter what. But here's the thing. Even the oldest, strongest trees can bend and sometimes break in a big storm. Here's an example that might sound familiar. Maybe you have a massive school project due soon, and then a really important test, plus sports practice every single day. You feel super tired, but you tell yourself, I'm strong enough to do it all, I don't need to slow down. So you stay up late, you might skip meals, and you push yourself until you feel completely run down. You might get everything done, but you're probably exhausted, maybe even feeling sick. That's this lie working. You said you were strong enough, but your body and mind were trying to tell you something different. Sometimes, true strength isn't about never feeling weak. Instead, it's about knowing when to stop, when to rest, or when to lean on someone else. It's about being brave enough to admit you're not okay, or that you need a minute. When we let go of the idea that we must always appear strong, we actually open the door to a deeper kind of strength, the strength to be truly human, to heal, and to really take care of ourselves. It is absolutely okay to feel your limits. What if what we call bad luck is really something else entirely? It's just bad luck. We've all said it, right? Maybe you missed a bus, or your favorite team lost in the last second, or a project didn't go as planned. When things go wrong and we can't quite figure out why, it's easy to point to bad luck. It's like a handy explanation that doesn't ask much of us. It means we don't have to look too closely at what happened, or at our own part in it. It lets us off the hook. For centuries, people have tried to understand luck. Ancient Romans had a goddess named Fortuna who spun a wheel, sometimes giving good fortune, sometimes bad. It was a way to explain the unpredictable parts of life. But later thinkers, like some ancient Greek philosophers, wondered if everything just happened by chance or if there were hidden reasons. They started to think about cause and effect. They asked if we just perceive things as random luck, or if there's always a chain of events, even if we don't see it. Imagine you forgot your science project at home on presentation day. You might groan and say, "Ugh, just my bad luck." But here's the thing. Maybe you rushed out the door that morning, or perhaps you placed it in an unusual spot the night before. Was it truly a random twist of fate, or a tiny oversight that snowballed? Sometimes, what we label bad luck is really a combination of small choices, things we missed, or even just random events that are neutral until we assign meaning to them. So, saying it's just bad luck can be a comforting lie. It helps us deal with disappointment without having to dig deeper. It protects us from feeling responsible, or from the discomfort of things being out of our control. But if we peel back that lie, we might find a new understanding. We might see that sometimes what appears to be bad luck is actually a moment for learning, a chance to pay closer attention next time, or simply a reminder that life holds surprises, both good and confusing. It's a way to accept what is, without blaming the universe. Have you ever said, "I deserve this"? Maybe after a long, hard week, you treat yourself to something nice. Or after you've worked really hard on something important. This phrase, "I deserve this," is one of those powerful little lies we often tell ourselves. It's not always a bad lie, but it's still a way our minds try to make sense of things or make us feel better. We use it to justify getting something we want, especially if we feel a bit guilty, or to convince ourselves we're worthy of a reward after facing a challenge. It's like our brain's internal lawyer arguing our case for why we should get what we want. Think about it. Humans have always looked for fairness. Ancient Greek thinkers talked about justice, and many old stories, even fables, teach us that good people get good things and bad people get bad things. This idea, sometimes called the just world hypothesis, suggests that the world is fair and people get what they deserve. So, when we say, "I deserve this," we're tapping into that deep human need for balance and fairness, even when the world isn't always fair. It's a way of saying, based on what I've done, this is my rightful reward. Imagine you've been studying for a big test for weeks. You skipped going out with friends, stayed up late, and really pushed yourself. When the test is finally over, you might feel like you deserve a long nap, a favorite snack, or sometime just doing nothing. This feeling is real. It's your mind connecting your effort to an expected outcome or reward. But what if the test didn't go well even after all that effort? Then the deserved feeling can turn into frustration because our self-told lie of deserving a good outcome was challenged. So, "I deserve this" isn't just about getting what you want. It's about how we connect our actions to our rewards and how we cope when life feels unbalanced. It's a tiny story we tell ourselves to feel more in control, to affirm our worth, and sometimes, yes, to stay sane. It reminds us how much we want things to be fair and how our minds work to create that fairness, even if it's just in our own thoughts. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'll be happy when"? Maybe it's, "I'll be happy when summer starts," or "when I get that new game." It's a common thought, right? We often put our happiness on hold, like it's a prize waiting at the end of some goal. This idea can be a quiet lie we tell ourselves. It pushes joy into the future, making us feel like we can't truly be happy until something specific happens. People have thought about happiness for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers long ago wondered where true happiness comes from. Some believed it wasn't about getting everything you wanted. Instead, it was about being okay with what you had. They knew if your happiness always depended on a future event, You might spend your whole life waiting for a feeling that never quite arrives and can quickly fade. It's like chasing the end of a rainbow which always seems just out of reach. Think about getting ready for a big holiday. You might tell yourself, I'll be happy when Christmas morning finally gets here. And yes, that morning is exciting, full of fun. But after the presents are opened, that first rush of excitement can fade. Then you might find yourself saying, I'll be happy when my birthday comes, or when I get to go on that trip. See how it works? The happiness arrives, but it often doesn't stick around because we're already looking for the next win. So, maybe the real secret isn't about finding the next big win. Instead, it's about noticing the little moments of calm or joy right now in the everyday. Happiness might not be a finish line you cross, but more like the path you walk, step by step. It's a feeling you can choose to notice and appreciate, even when things aren't perfect, and even when that win is still far away. Have you ever found yourself saying, I don't have time for that, even when a tiny part of you knows it's not entirely true? It's a common phrase, a quick way to brush something away. But often, this isn't about the actual minutes on a clock. It's a lie we tell ourselves. A soft, quiet way to avoid things we don't want to face. Think about it. We all have 24 hours in a day. We make time for things we truly care about, like scrolling through social media or playing a favorite game. So when we say we don't have time for something else, it's often a polite excuse. It might be because the task feels too hard, too boring, or it makes us feel uncomfortable. It's like a hidden shield we raise. Long ago, thinkers like the Roman philosopher Seneca talked about how people waste so much time on pointless things, then complain they have no time for what matters. He suggested that it's less about having no time and more about choosing not to give our time to certain things. We become busy with distractions instead of facing what truly calls for our attention or courage. Maybe it's that messy closet you keep putting off, or a tough conversation you need to have with a friend, or even trying a new hobby that seems a bit scary. It feels much easier to say, oh, I just don't have time for that today, than to admit the real reasons. I don't feel like cleaning, or I'm scared of how that talk might go, or what if I'm not good at this new thing? This phrase, I don't have time for that, often hides a deeper feeling. It's a gentle whisper we tell ourselves, often to avoid the effort, the fear, or the boredom. But here's the thing. When we consistently push away important or challenging things with this lie, we might miss out on chances to grow, to fix something, or to truly connect. Sometimes, the time was always there. It was the willingness that was missing. It makes you wonder what beautiful things we might be missing just by choosing not to look. Have you ever told yourself, oh, I'm just not good at math, or I can't draw at all? It's a quiet whisper in our minds that feels like a solid truth. But here's the thing. This common thought, I'm not good at that, is often one of the gentle lies we tell ourselves to stay sane. Our minds use it to protect us, mostly from the fear of trying and possibly failing. If we decide we're not good at something, we don't have to risk looking foolish or feeling frustrated. It builds a small wall, keeping us safe but also stopping us from growing. We tell ourselves this lie to avoid the discomfort of learning something new. Think about ancient philosophers, like the Stoics. They believed in facing challenges, not running from them. They'd say our biggest limits are often in our minds, not our actual abilities. In a way, saying I'm not good at that is an early form of what psychologists now call a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck explains how believing your abilities are set, that you either have it or you one of it don't, can stop you from improving. It's a mental shortcut that seems safe, but it limits our true potential. Imagine learning to ride a bike. If after falling once or twice, you declared, I'm not good at riding bikes, and never tried again, you'd miss the freedom and fun of cycling. Most people fall many times before they get the hang of it. Falling isn't proof you're bad. It's just a natural part of learning. It's how we get stronger and figure things out. So, next time that thought pops into your head, I'm not good at that, maybe pause. Ask yourself if it's truly a fact, or just a small, comforting lie your mind whispers to keep you safe from challenge. With a little patience and a willingness to try, you might just surprise yourself. It might simply be that you're not good at it yet, and recognizing that distinction changes everything. Have you ever felt a quiet whisper inside, a thought that says, I'm just different? It's a feeling many of us know. This isn't about being truly unique. because every single one of us is unique in our own way. This lie is more about a feeling we use to explain something tough or uncomfortable. We tell ourselves we're different so we don't have to try as hard, or look closely at why something feels difficult. It can feel like a safe excuse, a shield. Think about it like this. Maybe you don't feel like you fit in with a certain group at school. Instead of wondering why or finding another group, you might think, oh, I'm just different. I don't really get those people. Or maybe you find a certain subject, like math or public speaking, really hard. Instead of digging into why, you just think, I'm just not built for that. I'm different. This kind of thought has been around for a long time. Ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates encouraged people to know thyself, and writers centuries later talked about embracing your own unique spirit. But sometimes saying, I'm just different, can stop us from knowing ourselves even better. It can be a comfortable explanation that keeps us from asking deeper questions. Imagine you're trying to learn to play an instrument, and it feels impossible to get the notes right. You might easily say, I'm just not musical. I'm different from people who can play. But maybe what you really mean is, I haven't practiced enough, or I need a different way to learn. It's often easier to label ourselves than to face the effort or the uncertainty of learning something new. This I'm just different, he can feel like a soft blanket, protecting us from the fear of not belonging or the challenge of trying harder. But true strength, true peace, comes from understanding who we really are, not just telling ourselves a simple story. It's about exploring your inner landscape, recognizing your true colors, and accepting them without needing to hide behind a phrase. It's okay to be different. It's even better to truly understand what that means for you. Have you ever worried so much about what someone else might think that it stopped you from doing something you really wanted to do? Maybe it was wearing a certain outfit, trying out for a team, or speaking up in class. We often tell ourselves, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. This thought can feel like a superpower, a shield we put up. It helps us feel brave, or strong, or just okay when we're doing something different. But here's the thing. Sometimes this idea is also a quiet lie we tell ourselves to stay sane, because deep down, most of us do care. We're human, we want to belong, to be understood. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus talked about this idea. He taught that peace comes from knowing what you can control and what you can't. You can control your own actions, your own thoughts, and how you react to things. But you can't control what others think or say about you. He believed that if you focus only on what's in your power, the opinions of others start to lose their grip on you. It's a way of finding a deep, quiet calm inside yourself. Think about a scientist working on a new idea that seems strange to everyone else. They might be told it's impossible or silly, but if they truly believe in their work, they tell themselves the doubts of others don't matter. This isn't always because they genuinely don't care, but because their own belief is stronger. It's a choice to value their inner vision over outside noise. So, this idea, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, is less about truly not caring and more about learning to value your own inner voice above the crowd. It's about gently training yourself to trust your feelings, your path, and your own quiet strength. Because your own peace and truth are treasures, and no one else's opinion can truly take them away unless you let it. Have you ever felt like you're the only one who whispers a little comforting lie to yourself just to get through the day? Maybe you tell yourself, it's fine, I have plenty of time, when a deadline is looming, or they didn't mean it that way. When someone says something that stings, it's easy to feel alone in these private moments of self-deception, like you're the only one playing these little mental tricks. But here's the thing, you are absolutely not alone. This habit of telling ourselves small, often harmless, untruths to keep our minds steady is a deeply human trait. It's not about being dishonest to others, but about our own brains trying to manage a sometimes overwhelming world. Think of it like a mental safety net. Our minds create these stories, these lies, to protect us from too much anxiety or pain. It's a way we cope with what life throws at us. Throughout history, people have always found ways to make sense of things that are confusing or scary. Ancient cultures told myths about gods and monsters to explain thunder or earthquakes. These weren't exactly lies, but they were powerful stories that gave people a sense of order and control in a world that felt chaotic. Philosophers have also talked about how we each build our own sense of reality, how our beliefs shape what we see, And today, psychology teaches us about cognitive biases. Simple mental shortcuts our brains take that can sometimes twist reality a little bit, but they help us make quick decisions and keep moving forward. Consider something called the placebo effect. If someone thinks they're taking real medicine for a headache, but it's just a sugar pill, sometimes their headache actually gets better. Why? Because their mind believed it would work. Their brain created a helpful lie that made them feel better. That's a powerful example of how our minds can shape our experience, all for the sake of feeling better or staying functional. So, when you catch yourself bending the truth for your own peace of mind, remember that it's a very human thing. We're all in this together, trying to navigate life's ups and downs, and there's a quiet comfort in knowing that. It just means we're all trying to be okay one little story at a time. Have you ever really wanted something and then it just didn't happen? You felt disappointed, and then maybe someone said, "It's for the best," or you even told yourself that. This phrase, "is for the best," is a quiet lie we sometimes use. It's how our minds try to make sense of things that feel unfair or hurtful. When something goes wrong, saying this helps us cope. It's like our brain putting a soft blanket over a bruise, hoping for a hidden good reason for our pain. We use it to accept what we can't change. Think about people from a long time ago, like the Stoic philosophers in ancient Greece. They believed we can't control what happens, but we can control how we react. They didn't say it's for the best exactly, but they had a similar idea. Accept tough situations. They thought accepting hard things could bring peace. It's about finding calm inside when the world feels messy. This perspective helps us find strength when things are tough. Imagine you tried out for the school play, hoping for the main part. You practiced a lot, but you didn't get it. You felt terrible. Then, a few weeks later, you find out that main role needs practice every single night. And you remember your big science project is due soon. Not getting the part means you have time to do great on your science project. In that moment, you might think, oh, maybe it was for the best. This isn't about ignoring how you feel. It's okay to be sad or mad. But sometimes holding on to "is for the best" helps us move ahead. It's a quiet hope that when one door closes, another might open. It's a gentle reminder that life changes constantly, and sometimes why something happened only becomes clear much later. It's a comforting idea, even if it's a story we whisper to ourselves to feel better. Have you ever felt like you were walking a tightrope, but told everyone and yourself you were just strolling on a sidewalk? We often say, "I know what I'm doing," don't we? Sometimes, though, it's a quiet whisper of a lie we tell ourselves. It's not to trick others, but to calm the storm inside us. Here's the thing. This lie acts like a soft blanket for our minds. It helps us feel safe when things are shaky or new. It makes us believe we have control, even when deep down we might feel a little lost. This isn't about being dishonest in a bad way. It's how our brains protect us from uncertainty or fear. Our minds don't always like surprises or not knowing. So, they create a story where we're the confident captain, even if we're still learning to sail. For a long time, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, like Greek philosophers, wondered how we see ourselves. They talked about how easy it is to trick ourselves into believing things that bring comfort. They knew facing the truth about not knowing can be hard. But it's also important. It takes courage to say, "I'm not sure," or "I need to learn." Imagine you're trying to build something with Legos, but the instructions are missing. You might just start building saying, "Oh, I got this." Even if you're guessing, you keep going pretending you have a master plan. Or maybe you're playing a new video game. You tell your friends, "Yeah, I'm crushing it," when really, you're just figuring out the controls. This is that lie at work. It helps us keep trying, keeps us from freezing up. This quiet lie isn't failure. It's about being human. It's how we handle a world asking us to be sure when we're still figuring things out. Maybe true strength isn't always knowing the answer. Maybe it's being okay with not knowing and still taking that next step, open to whatever comes. The most honest thing is to admit we're still learning, and that's perfectly okay. Have you ever felt truly stuck? Like a sad mood, a tough problem, or a long, difficult week would just never end, hanging over you forever? Here's the thing. One of the quiet lies we tell ourselves, almost like a comforting whisper, is, this isn't permanent. It's not a trick. Instead, it's a deep, hopeful thought we hold on to when things are hard, helping us believe that tough times will pass. It gives us permission to keep going, to find peace. The world around us is always changing. Leaves fall, snow melts, the sun rises and sets. Rivers never stop flowing. The water is always new. Long ago, a Greek thinker named Heraclitus said, "You can't step into the same river twice." He meant everything is always moving, always becoming something new. Our feelings and situations are like that, always shifting. So, if you're stuck on a tricky math problem, or feeling left out, or having a rotten day, that feeling won't last forever. It's like a cloud moving across the sky. It might block the sun for a bit, but it will drift away. Remember that hard test you studied for? The stress felt huge, right? But the test ended and the stress went. Even a broken bone heals and the pain fades over time. This quiet idea that things shift and change is a powerful tool. It helps us take a deep breath when we feel stuck. It reminds us that even when life feels heavy or confusing, it's always moving, always flowing like a vast river. This helps us find a calm spot inside, a quiet strength. It's knowing that whatever we're facing is just a part of the journey, not the whole road. It's a gentle promise that even the darkest nights give way to dawn. Have you ever messed up just a little and then told yourself, oh, it's really not a big deal? Maybe you forgot to do something important or said something you wished you hadn't. For a moment, you feel a sharp pain, a little worry, but then, almost like magic, your mind kicks in. It whispers, nah, that was tiny. No one will even notice. And suddenly, the worry shrinks. This quiet whisper is not a big mistake. It's one of those clever lies we tell ourselves. It's not about being dishonest to others, but about being a little soft on ourselves. Our brains are amazing. They work hard to keep us feeling okay, to protect us from too much guilt or sadness. So, when we trip up, our mind sometimes helps us minimize the fall. It makes the mistake seem smaller than it might actually be, or smaller than it feels deep down. Think about it like this. Imagine you're drawing a picture, and you make a tiny smudge. Instead of erasing it and starting over, you might just tell yourself, it's barely there. No one will see it. You convince yourself it's invisible, even though you know exactly where it is. Psychologists talk about this as a way we protect our self-worth. If every little mistake felt huge, we might get stuck, unable to move forward. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, often talked about accepting things as they are. But sometimes, our human nature pushes us to bend reality a little, just to get through the day. This doesn't mean we should ignore our errors forever, but it shows how much our minds work to keep us steady. We tell ourselves it's not a big mistake to avoid feeling crushed, to keep our balance. It's a coping mechanism, a tiny shield against overwhelming self-blame. And sometimes, it's necessary. It lets us breathe, forgive ourselves a little, and keep trying. But understanding why we do it can also help us decide when it's time to truly learn from that smudge, instead of just pretending it's not there. Have you ever put off something hard? A big school project maybe? Or a tough talk you needed to have? And did you tell yourself, don't worry, I'll make it up later? Here's the thing, this isn't just a simple phrase. It's a quiet lie we whisper. We hope it silences a worry just for a little while. This lie, I'll make it up later, is our brain hitting pause on discomfort. It's like saying, I see that tough stuff, but I'll pretend it's not there. Future me will handle it. We do this because facing hard things right away feels too much. So we trade immediate stress for a promise of future action. But deep down, we know that future action might be harder or might never happen. Think about old thinkers like the Stoics. They believed in facing reality directly. They knew pushing things off makes them bigger problems. They'd ask, why wait to deal with something if you can handle a piece of it now? It's not about being super brave. It's about being kind to your future self. Don't leave them a giant mess. Imagine your messy room. You tell yourself, I'll clean it up later. That later could be tomorrow or next week. But the mess doesn't disappear. It waits. And every time you open your door, that lie pops up, reminding you. We do this with more than just chores. We do it with our feelings, our fears, and truths we'd rather not look at. So, when we tell ourselves, I'll make it up later, are we truly staying sane? Or are we just building a bigger wall between ourselves and what's real? Maybe real calm comes from taking just one small step now, even if it feels tough. It's like gently pulling back a curtain, letting a little light in. This is better than waiting for the whole storm. Facing a little truth today means a calmer mind tomorrow. Have you ever stopped to really think about your biggest dream? The one thing you hope for with all your heart? We often say, "My dreams will come true," don't we? It feels good to say it, to believe it, but sometimes this simple thought is more than just hope. It's a quiet promise we make to ourselves, a gentle lie we lean on to keep going. This isn't a mean lie, like telling someone something untrue to trick them. Instead, it's like a warm, soft blanket for our minds, especially when life feels hard or uncertain. We tell ourselves this because it keeps us from feeling crushed by worry or the fear that things might not work out. It helps us not give up. It's a way our minds protect us, keeping us strong enough to keep trying. For a long time, people have understood how important hope is. Ancient stories, like the Greek myth of Pandora's box, often talk about hope being the last thing left, even after all the bad things have gone out into the world. This means that no matter how difficult things get, hope stays with us. Our minds are built to reach for that feeling. If we completely stop believing in our dreams, it would be really hard to find reasons to try new things or push through challenges. Think about someone who wants to be a great musician. They might spend hours practicing, even when their hands ache and the music sounds messy. They probably tell themselves, "One day, my music will sound beautiful." This isn't just wishing. It's the quiet fuel that keeps their fingers moving across the strings or keys, even when they feel frustrated. They don't know for sure if they'll ever be famous, but the belief that they can keeps them practicing and improving. So, this lie isn't about ignoring what's real. It's about understanding that hope is a powerful force inside us. It helps us face the world with courage, even when we know life can be unpredictable. It reminds us that sometimes the most important thing is the journey itself and the strength we find along the way, all fueled by that quiet belief that maybe, just maybe, our dreams truly will come true. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, "Wow, I would never do something like that"? Or maybe you hear about a mistake someone made and quickly say to yourself, "I'm totally different. That's not me at all." We all do this. It's a common, quiet lie we tell ourselves. This idea, "I'm not like that," is a shield we put up. It's how we keep ourselves feeling good about who we are. We see things in others, maybe impatience or a tendency to gossip or even a struggle with fear, and our brain quickly sorts it away from our own identity. We convince ourselves that those traits, those weaknesses belong to someone else, not to us. For a long time, thinkers have talked about how tricky it is to truly know yourself. Ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates told us, "Know thyself." They understood that it's much easier to see the world clearly than to see our own reflection without distortion. Our minds often act like a funhouse mirror for ourselves, making us look better than we might truly be in certain areas, or sometimes even worse. This isn't about being bad. It's just how our minds work to protect our feelings. Think about it like this. Imagine someone is always late and you get annoyed thinking, "I'm always on time. I'm not like that." But maybe sometimes you're a bit late too, or you procrastinate on homework even though you tell yourself you're super organized. It's like our brain has a special filter for ourselves. We highlight our good parts and blur out the parts we don't want to see. This filter makes us feel safe and in control. So, why does this matter? Because when we believe "I'm not like that" too strongly, we miss a chance to grow. It makes it harder to understand other people too. If we can gently admit that maybe, just maybe, we have a little bit of what we see in others, it makes us kinder to ourselves and everyone else. It's about seeing our shared human struggles, not just our differences. It helps us remember that deep down, we are all just trying our best, often hiding our fears or weaknesses just like everyone else. Have you ever felt completely lost, like things just weren't making sense? Or wondered if maybe, just maybe, everything that happens, the good and the body's somehow supposed to? Here's the thing. Sometimes our minds whisper, it's all part of the plan. This isn't about a literal written down schedule for your life. Instead, it's a comforting thought we use to find meaning when things feel messy or unfair. It suggests that even unexpected twists fit into a bigger, hidden story. For thousands of years, people have looked for patterns in life's twists and turns. Ancient thinkers often talked about fate or destiny, the belief that some events are simply meant to happen. Philosophers from ancient Greece, like the Stoics, believed we can't control what happens to us. But they taught that we can control how we react. So, they aimed to accept tough moments as if they were meant to be. Think about a time your pen slipped while drawing. At first, it felt like a mistake, like you ruined it. But then, that slip became part of a new, unexpected detail that made your drawing more interesting. Or, imagine something you planned got canceled. You felt disappointed. But then, because you had free time, you tried something new and found a hobby you love. Our minds can look back and see how that unplanned moment led to something good. The lie of, it's all part of the plan, isn't about tricking ourselves. It's about our deep human need to find order and purpose. It helps us feel less scared when life feels uncertain. It's a gentle way for our minds to say, even when things look like chaos, you can find a reason. This helps us breathe, lets us keep going, and reminds us that sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to exactly where we need to be. Have you ever said, I'm totally fine with who I am, but a tiny part of you wondered if it was completely true? Often, I'm not afraid to be myself is a story we tell ourselves to feel a little braver. It's a soft lie we whisper to our own hearts. What does it mean to really be yourself? It's letting your true thoughts, feelings, and quirks show without constantly worrying if they're right for everyone else. Think of a chameleon. They change color to blend in. Sometimes we do something similar. We change how we act or what we say just to blend in or to be accepted by a group. But often we're hiding parts of our true selves. People have thought about this for ages. An ancient Greek thinker named Socrates often spoke about knowing thyself. He meant truly understanding who you are, what you believe, and what makes you you. It's a lifelong journey. For centuries, thinkers have explored how hard it is to be authentic when the world wants us to fit a certain shape. They knew it was tough to stand out or simply be yourself. So when we declare, I'm not afraid to be myself, sometimes it's like a shield. We say it hoping it becomes true, because showing all of ourselves, including the imperfect parts, can feel scary. But here's the thing. The first step to truly being yourself isn't saying you're fearless. It's admitting that sometimes you are afraid. And that's perfectly okay. Recognizing that little lie is how you start finding your true brave self. It's a journey of quiet courage, starting with being honest with yourself. Have you ever found yourself in a tough spot, like a really boring class or a chore you just don't want to do, and you tell yourself it's only for a little while? Or maybe you're dealing with something much bigger, something painful, and that same thought whispers in your mind. This phrase, it's only for a little while, is one of those gentle lies we tell ourselves. It's not meant to trick us in a bad way. Instead, it's a kind of quiet promise, a comfort we offer our own minds to make things bearable. Here's the thing. Our brains are always trying to help us cope. When faced with something difficult or overwhelming, it's natural to want to make it feel less intense, to shrink it down. Saying it's only for a little while works like a mental pause button. It tells your mind, don't worry, this isn't forever. You just need to get through this small bit of time. It gives us a mental break, a temporary shield against the full weight of a long, hard situation. Think about ancient philosophers like the Stoics. They didn't use this exact phrase, but their ideas sometimes lean this way. They believed in accepting things you couldn't change and focusing on your inner strength. In a way, telling yourself this will pass, or it's only for a short time, is a modern way of finding that inner calm, a way to endure. It's like when you have to clean your entire room after a big party. It looks like a huge, impossible mess. But you tell yourself, okay, I just need to get through the first 30 minutes, or clear this one pile. It's only for a little while, then I can rest. This small lie helps us keep going when we feel like giving up. It lets us borrow patience from a future that isn't here yet. But here's what to remember. While it's a helpful tool for pushing through, it's also important to know when a little while turns into a very long time. Sometimes, what we tell ourselves is temporary might be a hint that something needs to truly change, not just be endured. It's a delicate balance between finding strength in the temporary and facing the real. Have you ever held on to a tiny spark of hope, believing you could shift something vast and unmoving, like pushing a mountain with your wishes? That's the lie of, I can change them. It's not about changing yourself, which is possible and powerful. No, this lie whispers that you can somehow reshape another person or a deeply set situation just by wanting it enough. It feels good to think this, right? It gives us a sense of control, a feeling of purpose. We see someone we care about struggling, or a situation that's unfair, and our hearts ache to fix it. We convince ourselves that with enough love, enough effort, enough patience, the unchangeable will bend. But here's the thing. People are not projects. Their paths, their choices, their inner worlds are their own. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, understood something important about this. They taught that true peace comes from knowing the difference between what is up to us and what is not. What is up to us are our own thoughts, our own actions, our own reactions. What is not up to us are other people's opinions, their decisions, or how life unfolds outside our control. They said, trying to change what you can't control is like wrestling with a shadow. It takes all your energy, but the shadow remains. Think about a time you tried really hard to make a friend enjoy a movie they just weren't into. You explained why it was good, you pointed out the best parts, but in the end, their feelings stayed the same. You couldn't make them like it. That's a simple example, but it shows how we often try to influence things far beyond our reach. We might want a stormy sky to clear for a picnic, but our wanting won't stop the rain. So this lie, I can change them, is a comforting illusion. It protects us from the difficult truth that some things and some people are beyond our power to alter. Real strength often comes from recognizing the boundaries of our influence and then choosing to focus our energy on what we truly can change: ourselves, our perspectives, and how we respond to the world around us. It's about letting go of the need to rearrange the universe and finding peace in our own small, powerful circle of control. Have you ever quietly hoped someone, perhaps a friend or family member, will finally see things your way? Or that they change their mind about something important? This deep wish that others will eventually align with our hopes feels powerful. We tell ourselves, they'll come around. Sometimes it's a gentle lie for our sanity. What does they'll come around really mean? It's believing someone's feelings, opinions, or even their nature will shift eventually. We hope they'll match what we want. We might cling to the idea that if we just wait or explain or endure, they will understand. This idea saves us from a tough truth. Sometimes people just won't change. They may never see the world our way. Humans always struggle with accepting what they can't control. Ancient thinkers like the Stoics spoke of focusing on what's in our power, letting go of what isn't. When we say, they'll come around, we try controlling another's mind or heart. This is beyond our reach. It's like wishing the ocean tide would stay out instead of accepting its rhythm. Think about a time you had a big disagreement with a friend. Maybe you felt hurt thinking, they'll realize they were wrong. You might replay conversations, imagining an apology. This hope, though comforting, keeps us stuck. It stops us from accepting the situation as it is. Real strength means not waiting for others to change, but finding peace with who they are or with the situation. Accepting some people have different paths or views is fine. Letting go of this lie makes room for calm. This peace comes from accepting what is, instead of just hoping for what might be. Have you ever seen someone get something truly amazing, maybe a big award or just something you really wanted, and felt a strange twist inside? A little knot in your stomach, even as you smiled and said, "That's awesome." We often call that feeling jealousy. It's this deep ache of wanting what someone else has, wishing it was ours instead. But here's the thing. Sometimes when that feeling pops up, we quickly push it down. We tell ourselves, I'm not jealous. I'm just happy for them. Or maybe, I don't even want that anyway. Think about it. People have felt this way for thousands of years. Ancient philosophers talked a lot about feelings like envy and jealousy. They didn't see them as simply good or bad, but as natural human experiences that could cause trouble if you let them control you. This comparing ourselves to others, this wanting what they have, is a very old part of being human. It's like when your best friend gets picked for the lead role in the school play, and you really wanted it. You clap and cheer, and you truly are proud of them. But there's this tiny whisper in your mind, why not me? You probably wouldn't say, I'm jealous, out loud. Instead, you try to convince yourself, it's fine. I didn't even want to memorize all those lines anyway. But pretending that feeling isn't there doesn't make it go away. It just hides it, sometimes making it grow bigger in the dark. The lie, I'm not jealous, is like trying to hold your breath underwater. You can do it for a bit, but eventually you have to come up for air. Maybe the real courage isn't in denying these tough feelings, but in simply noticing them. Just acknowledging that twist in your stomach, saying to yourself, okay, I feel a little bit of that right now. It's okay to feel. It's what you do next that truly matters. Have you ever heard someone say, or maybe even said yourself, "That's just how I am"? It's a common phrase, right? We say it about big things like, "I'm just not a morning person," or small things like, "I'm just bad at remembering names." But here's the thing. Often when we say, "That's just how I am," it's a way to feel okay about something we might not like or something we don't want to work on. It's like a soft blanket we pull over ourselves to avoid the chill of change. This idea that we are fixed and can't really change isn't new. For thousands of years, people have wondered if our character is set in stone or if we can shape it. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a guy named Socrates, believed that knowing yourself was super important. They thought you could examine your own thoughts and actions, and by doing that, you could actually become a better person. It wasn't about being stuck. It was about growing, like a seed, becoming a plant. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a habit. Maybe you always leave your backpack in the middle of the floor. You might say, "Oh, I'm just a messy person." But is that truly fixed? Or is it a habit you've just gotten used to? Like training a new puppy, you can teach yourself new tricks, new ways of doing things. Maybe it's hard at first, but it's possible. So, when we tell ourselves, "It's just how I am," sometimes it's a quiet lie that keeps us comfortable. It helps us avoid the effort of trying something different. But knowing that we can choose, even in small ways, to think or act differently, that's where real freedom comes from. It means we're not stuck. It means the story of who you are is still being written, and you hold the pen. It's a gentle thought. We are always capable of becoming a bit more, a bit better than we were yesterday. Have you ever heard someone say, or maybe even said yourself, "Oh, I'm not judging them," right after talking about someone else? It's a common phrase, isn't it? And sometimes, it's a lie we tell ourselves. This isn't about being mean. It's more about how our brains work. We tend to sort and categorize everything we see. We make quick decisions about people, about situations. We judge. It's a natural human thing. When we say, "I'm not judging," we might be trying to convince ourselves we're more open-minded than we really are. Or maybe we just don't want to admit we have an opinion that might not be kind. For a long time, thinkers have explored this. Ancient philosophers, like those in Greece, talked about how we see the world through our own lens. They knew it was hard to truly see things without adding our own thoughts or biases. And Buddhist teachings often talk about mindfulness, which means just observing things as they are, without immediately labeling them as good or bad. It's tough to do because our brains are built to quickly assess. Think about when someone wears something really different to school. You might see it and instantly think, "That's weird," or "That's cool." You've made a judgment. But then if a friend asks what you think, you might say, "Oh, it's fine, I'm not judging." But the first thought, the judgment, was already there. It's just a quick reaction. Here's the thing. Realizing we judge isn't a bad thing. It's just being honest with ourselves. It's about seeing how our minds work. And once we see it, maybe we can pause that quick judgment. Maybe we can choose to look a little deeper, or just let go of the need to label everything. It helps us understand ourselves better, and it might even help us be a little kinder to others, knowing that everyone is just trying to navigate a world full of quick opinions, including our own. Have you ever felt like a small problem was actually the biggest, most terrible thing in the world? Like a bad grade or a misunderstanding with a friend could just ruin everything? Sometimes, our minds make tiny bumps feel like giant mountains, but often, they're not so big. This is where one of the most comforting lies we tell ourselves steps in. It's not that serious. It's not about pretending things aren't happening. Instead, it's a quiet whisper from your own mind, reminding you to breathe. It's a tool we use to dial down the drama, telling our racing thoughts to slow down. It's a mental trick to stop panic. Think about ancient wise people, or even what your grandparents might tell you. For centuries, people have talked about focusing on what you can change and letting go of the rest. This idea has been around for ages. It teaches us that how we think about a problem often causes more stress than the problem itself. So this lead helps us choose a calmer way to think, a way to gain perspective. Imagine you mess up a simple task, like forgetting your lines in a school play or missing an easy shot in a game. For a moment, it feels like the whole world is watching, and your face might get hot. But then, almost without thinking, you might tell yourself, "It's okay, everyone messes up sometimes. It's really not that big of a deal." That quiet voice, that's this lie in action. It helps you shake it off and keep going. This helpful little lie gives us perspective. It's not about ignoring challenges, but about putting them into their right size. It helps us see that most worries aren't actual emergencies. By telling ourselves, it's not that serious, we find a quiet space in our minds where we can stand tall again, ready to face whatever comes next with a bit more calm. Have you ever been on a really long bus ride, or maybe running laps in gym class, and you just keep thinking, okay, almost there? You look out the window, or at the track ahead, and tell yourself the end is just around the next bend. But then the bend comes, and it's still a ways off. We do this all the time, don't we? This feeling of I'm almost there is one of those gentle lies we tell ourselves to keep going. It's a trick our mind plays, a kind of hopeful whisper. When things are tough, or boring, or just feel endless, our brain tries to find a shortcut to the finish line. It tells us we're closer than we actually are. This isn't about being dishonest to others. It's about being kind to ourselves. It's about convincing ourselves to take the next step when we really just want to stop. Think about ancient explorers crossing vast oceans or deserts. They didn't have GPS or accurate maps. They had to rely on hope, on the belief that land was just over the horizon or that the oasis was just a day's march away. Philosophers might say this is part of our human will, our drive to endure. It's a way we manage the big, scary unknown. We shrink the journey in our minds so it feels less overwhelming. It's like when you're working on a huge school project. You might think, just one more paragraph, and I'm practically done, even if you still have half the conclusion and the bibliography to do. Or maybe you're on a hike, feeling tired, and you say, the top of the hill is right there. This small, quiet lie gives you the energy to push on. It keeps your spirits up when the path feels long and the goal seems distant. So this I'm almost there feeling isn't about fooling ourselves in a bad way. Instead, it's a testament to our strength, a silent agreement we make with our own hearts. It shows how much we want to reach our goals even when the path is hard. It's a soft, comforting thought that helps us believe in the possibility of an ending, giving us the quiet courage to keep moving forward one step at a time. Have you ever said out loud or just in your head, I don't care what they think, or maybe I don't need anyone's approval? It sounds so strong, doesn't it? Like you're completely independent, forging your own path. And sometimes that can be true, but often this powerful statement is a quiet lie we tell ourselves. It's a shield. We use it to pretend we're totally fine, even when deep down we might secretly wish for someone's nod of acceptance, their smile, their praise. Being human, we're built to connect. So, wanting to be liked, to belong, is a very old feeling. But if your whole sense of worth depended on what others thought of you, that's a shaky foundation. Long ago, thinkers like the Stoics understood this. They focused on what you can control, your own actions, your thoughts, your character. They believe true freedom comes from finding your value within yourself, not from outside opinions. Think of a river flowing. It doesn't need the rocks on its banks to approve of its current or its path. It just flows, carving its own way, true to its own nature. Similarly, when you share a drawing or a new idea, you might say you don't care what others think, but inside, there's often a little part hoping for a positive reaction. The lie, I don't need approval, helps us cope if that approval doesn't come. It protects us from feeling let down. Here's the thing. While it's natural to want to be accepted, our happiness doesn't have to ride on it. Knowing who you are, what you believe, and what you care about, that's where real strength lives. It's about finding peace with yourself, regardless of the applause or silence from the crowd. That inner voice, the one that tells you you're okay, is the most important approval of all. Have you ever been really bored or felt a little sad and told yourself, this won't last forever? Or maybe you were nervous about a test and you thought it's only temporary. That quiet whisper in our minds, it's only temporary, is one of the oldest lies and truths we tell ourselves to get through life. It's a way to handle tough feelings or situations. We say it to calm down, to make a hard moment feel lighter, or to convince ourselves that the pain, the waiting, or the fear will eventually go away. At its core, saying it's only temporary means believing that whatever is happening right now, whether good or bad, won't stay forever. It's about accepting that things change. This idea isn't new. Ancient thinkers, like a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus, talked about how everything is always flowing. Like a river you can never step into twice because the water is always new. Even old spiritual teachings often focus on how life is always moving, always changing. The hard times don't last, but neither do the easy, happy ones. This isn't just a hopeful thought. It's a deep observation about how the world works. Think about a time you had a bad cold. You felt stuffy, tired, and just awful. It might have seemed like it would never end, right? But then, slowly, you started feeling better. The cold was temporary. Or think about waiting in a very long line. It feels endless, but eventually, you reach the front. That moment of waiting is temporary. This thought helps us keep going when we face something difficult. It gives us a little bit of hope, a gentle push to keep moving forward, knowing that the current feeling or situation is just a passing cloud in the sky of our lives. It helps us find strength in the present just by reminding us that the present moment, no matter how it feels, is always shifting. Have you ever been working on something super hard, maybe a tough math problem, or practicing a skill for what feels like forever and you just want to quit? Like, seriously, quit? We all feel that way sometimes. It's totally normal, but then a little voice inside whispers, I'm not giving up. This I'm not giving up isn't always a stone cold fact in that exact moment. Sometimes, it's a kind of lie we tell ourselves. Not a mean lie, but a necessary one. It's a promise we make to ourselves when we feel weak, tired, or overwhelmed. It's like building a tiny, invisible bridge over a deep chasm of doubt. We tell ourselves we have more strength, more fight, more energy than we actually feel we do. And here's the thing. By saying it, by believing it for just one more second, we often find that strength. Think about people through history. Philosophers and thinkers, even way back to the ancient Stoics, understood how powerful our minds are. They believed that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we react and what we tell ourselves about it. So, when life felt impossible, they didn't just collapse. They found ways to keep their spirit going. This idea that our inner voice can shape our reality isn't new. It's a part of human experience for a very long time. It's like a hidden superpower. Imagine you're trying to learn to play a new song on an instrument. Your fingers might ache, the notes sound wrong, and you want to just toss the instrument aside. But you take a deep breath and tell yourself, I'm not giving up. You play one more note, then another. That simple lie or commitment turns into actual progress. It's how athletes push through pain, how scientists keep experimenting after failures, and how artists keep painting even when their work doesn't feel good enough. So this lie isn't about hiding from the truth. It's about creating a new truth, one breath, one step, one moment at a time. It's a quiet act of courage. It reminds us that even when things feel heavy, there's always a spark of hope. A tiny flicker that can grow into a steady flame. It's a gentle anchor in the storms of life, helping us stay steady until the calm returns. And that's why it matters so much. Have you ever had a feeling deep inside that it was just better not to know something? Like truly, genuinely better to stay in the dark about a certain fact or a piece of news? It's a strange thought, isn't it? We usually think knowing more is always good. But here's the thing. Sometimes, our minds tell us to hit the pause button on information. This idea of I don't need to know is a quiet trick our brains play to keep us safe, or at least to keep us feeling okay. It's when we purposely avoid a truth because facing it might bring a lot of worry, sadness, or confusion. Imagine you're at home and you know there's a big storm brewing outside, but you decide not to look at the severe weather alerts every 5 minutes. You just trust that you're safe, or you choose to focus on something calming indoors. You're not ignoring the storm, but you're choosing not to immerse yourself in every scary detail. Philosophers, thinkers from long ago often talked about how we handle things that are out of our control. The Stoics, for example, believed in focusing only on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. Sometimes, what we choose to know and what we choose to deliberately not know falls into that space. It's not about being foolish or avoiding reality forever. It's about managing the flow of information that enters our minds, especially when that information feels heavy or overwhelming. Think about it like this. Your brain has a protective shield. Sometimes it lowers that shield for curiosity, inviting new facts in, but other times it holds the shield up high, especially when it senses that knowing a certain truth might break your peace. It's a delicate balance. It teaches us that true strength isn't always about facing every single harsh reality head on, but sometimes about wisely choosing how much we let in, simply to stay calm and keep going. This quiet choice can be a way of taking care of your own heart and mind. Have you ever caught yourself telling a tiny untruth, not to someone else, but to yourself? Maybe it's about how much time you spent on your phone, or how easy that big project will be. We often call these small lies. They aren't meant to hurt anyone. Instead, they're like little mental shortcuts or comfort blankets our minds use to smooth the rough edges of reality. They help us handle things that feel overwhelming. Here's the thing. Our brains are always working to keep us feeling safe and calm. Sometimes, that means protecting us from uncomfortable truths or big worries. This isn't a new idea. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus observed that people often get upset not by events themselves, but by their ideas about events. He recognized how we choose our thoughts to make life more bearable. If we can gently shift our idea, even slightly, we feel better. Think about it this way. Say you have a really tough test tomorrow. You might tell yourself, it's just one test. It won't define my whole grade. You know it is important. But saying that small lie helps quiet the butterflies in your stomach. It makes the worry feel smaller, more manageable. Our minds do something similar, simplifying reality to make it less scary. These quiet self-deceptions aren't meant to harm others. Instead, they are tiny acts of kindness we give ourselves. They offer a moment of peace, a chance to breathe, helping us carry on when the full truth feels too heavy. They are subtle ways we try to stay sane and keep moving forward in a busy world. Have you ever said, it doesn't bother me, when inside you felt a quiet sting? This lie, I'm not sensitive, is one we tell ourselves. It's like building an invisible shield. We pretend not to feel deeply, hoping to avoid hurt. We think if we don't show pain, it won't be real. But here's the truth. Everyone feels. For a long time, people were taught that showing emotions, like sadness, made you weak. Ancient thinkers, the Stoics, tried to control all feelings. They thought emotions got in the way of clear thought. Trying to turn off all feeling is a heavy burden. It's like living without a sense of touch. Imagine a small plant, the Mimosa pudica. Touches leaves, they fold up quickly. It's not weak, it just reacts, protecting itself. Humans are like that, but our reactions are often hidden. Someone might say something unkind, and instead of showing it bothers us, we laugh it off. Inside, those words can leave a tiny, invisible mark. The lie, I'm not sensitive, tells us feeling is bad. But our feelings are like a compass, guiding us. They show us what matters, what hurts, and what brings joy. It takes real strength to let ourselves feel those things, to accept whispers of pain or joy instead of hiding them. Being sensitive isn't a flaw. It's a deep part of being human, a quiet strength. It helps us understand ourselves and the world. It's more than okay to feel. Have you ever felt a knot of worry in your stomach? Maybe it was before a big test or a tryout for a team or a tough conversation you knew you had to have. And then, like a gentle whisper in your mind, you hear it, don't worry, it's all going to work out. This comforting thought is one of the 100 lies we tell ourselves to stay sane. It's powerful, like a soft, invisible shield we put up against fear and uncertainty. We say it to ourselves because facing the raw truth of it might not feels too heavy. This idea that everything will just magically fix itself offers a needed break from anxiety. It's a way our minds try to protect us, giving us peace when things feel overwhelming. For a long time, people have looked for ways to find peace in an unpredictable world. Think about ancient thinkers like the Stoics. They focused on what they could control, their own actions and reactions. They understood the world often wouldn't bend to their wishes. Yet, the human heart still longs for reassurance, for a hopeful ending. The lie, it's all going to work out, fills that longing. It's like building a sandcastle on the beach and telling yourself the tide won't reach it. You know deep down the tide will come, but for a little while, the hope feels good. So this lie isn't about ignoring problems forever. It's a temporary pause, a deep breath. When the path ahead looks foggy, it lets us keep moving forward, even if we are a little scared. And maybe, in that moment of hopeful belief, we find the strength to make things actually work out, not because of magic, but because we were brave enough to try. It reminds us that sometimes, sanity isn't about knowing every answer, but about finding a way to simply be with the questions, even the scary ones. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm just being honest," right before they say something sharp? Or maybe you've said it yourself. It's an interesting phrase, isn't it? We often use it to speak a hard truth. But sometimes, "I'm just being honest" can be one of the cleverest lies we tell ourselves to stay sane. It's not just about the truth, it's about why and how we say it. When we use this phrase, we often create a shield. We tell ourselves we're brave, direct, and real. That feels good. But what if, underneath that shield, we're hiding something else? Maybe we're avoiding how we truly feel. Perhaps we use honesty to avoid being vulnerable, or to just get our way. Think about it. People have always explored what it means to be truthful. Ancient thinkers, like Socrates, believed true honesty meant being honest with yourself first. It means looking at your own thoughts and feelings, even the messy ones. It's harder to lie to others when you can't lie to yourself. Consider someone who says, "I'm just being honest. I don't think your idea for the class project is very good." That sounds direct, but maybe that person is unsure about their own ideas, or they're afraid of working in a group where they aren't totally in charge. So, they use honesty to push their plan or hide their fears. It keeps things simple for them. So, the next time you hear, "I'm just being honest," or feel yourself about to say it, pause. Ask yourself, am I truly honest in the deepest sense? Am I just stating a fact or showing a deeper truth about myself? It's a chance to look closer at the hidden reasons behind our words. This helps us understand ourselves and others better. It can lead to a more genuine connection. Have you ever heard someone say, "I don't regret a thing"? It sounds really strong, doesn't it? Like they've got everything figured out and nothing bothers them from their past. But is it truly possible for us to live without ever looking back and wishing something had happened differently, or that we had chosen another path? This idea, "I don't have any regrets," is one of those comforting thoughts we often tell ourselves. It's a way of saying that every choice we've made, even the messy ones, led us to where we are right now. It suggests we fully accepted our past, the good parts and the not so good parts. But sometimes, maybe it's also a quiet way to push away uncomfortable feelings about mistakes we've made or chances we let slip by. Think about old philosophers from places like ancient Greece and Rome. They were called Stoics. They believed it was smart to accept things you couldn't change. They felt that if you focused only on what was in your power, you'd find peace. So, for them, once something was done, it was done. Dwelling on it would just make you unhappy. Saying no regrets can be a bit like that old idea. It's like saying, "I've learned what I needed to learn from that, and now I'm moving forward." It's kind of like playing a video game. Maybe you take a wrong turn, or you lose a life. Do you just stop playing and wish you had gone the other way? Or do you remember that mistake, learn from it, and try a new strategy next time? You use the experience to get better. So maybe "I don't have any regrets" isn't about being perfect or never making a mistake. Instead, it's about choosing to see our past experiences as teachers, not as heavy weights holding us back. It's a quiet way of being kind to ourselves, reminding ourselves that we probably did the best we could with what we knew back then. And it helps us keep moving forward without getting stuck thinking about all the what ifs. It's a gentle whisper to your own heart. It's okay. You lived, you learned, and you're still growing. Have you ever seen something happen, something that felt wrong, but your mind quickly whispered, "That's not my problem"? It's a powerful little phrase, isn't it? We use it to draw a clear line, to separate ourselves from what's difficult or messy. It's like building a tiny, invisible wall around ourselves. This wall keeps out discomfort, the feeling of responsibility, or the overwhelming thought that we might have to do something hard. It's one of the quiet lies we tell to keep our own world peaceful. A small promise to ourselves. I am safe here. This doesn't involve me. This idea of stepping back isn't new. For ages, people have thought about what belongs to them and what doesn't. Ancient thinkers like the Stoics talked about focusing only on what you can control for inner peace. But sometimes, that good idea gets twisted. It makes us think we shouldn't care about anything that isn't directly our fault. Here's the thing. Psychology has a name for this. It's called the bystander effect. When many people are around and someone needs help, everyone waits for someone else to step up. So, often, no one does. It shows how easy it is to think someone else will handle it. Imagine seeing a pile of trash blown onto the school field You think someone will clean that up. Or maybe a friend seems really quiet and down. But you tell yourself, it's probably just a bad day. It's not my place to ask. This lie, is not my problem, can feel like a shield. It protects us from stress, but it can also make us feel a little more alone, and it makes the world around us feel a little colder. It keeps us from seeing how much we are all connected. Sometimes, just asking, what if it is my problem? Even a little bit can open up a pathway. It's about noticing, truly seeing, and letting a bit of that shared human experience touch us. It doesn't mean you have to fix everything, but just acknowledging that something affects others matters. Have you ever felt a giant wave of emotion, maybe anger or sadness, and then heard someone say, wow, you're overreacting? Or maybe you've even told yourself that? This is a quiet lie we often whisper. I'm not overreacting is usually us trying to convince ourselves and others that our very real, very deep feelings aren't actually that big or intense. It's a way to make our internal world seem calmer, more normal, even when it's anything but. We feel a storm inside, but we try to act like it's just a light breeze. For a long time, in many places, people were taught that showing strong emotions, especially sadness or fear, wasn't good. Think about old stories where heroes always stayed perfectly calm, no matter what. There's been this idea that strong people don't get upset easily, and that makes us feel like our powerful feelings are wrong or a sign of weakness. So we try to shrink them down, to lie to ourselves that they're not as big as they truly are, hoping this makes us seem more sane. But here's the thing, our feelings are like signals. Imagine you accidentally delete a huge school project you worked on for weeks. You might feel a mix of panic, anger, and deep frustration. Someone might casually say, it's just a file, you can redo it, don't overreact. But for you, in that moment, it feels huge. The lie is when you then try to force yourself to agree, to pretend it's not a big deal, crushing that real wave of feeling inside. It's like trying to put a tiny teacup lid on a boiling pot. The pressure builds up. So maybe overreacting isn't a thing. Maybe it's just reacting. Our feelings tell us what matters to us. When we deny their power or try to hide them from ourselves, we're ignoring an important part of who we are. Being truly sane might not mean always being calm, but instead accepting the full, honest weather of our hearts without judging it as too much. Have you ever woken up and even before your feet hit the floor, you just knew it was going to be one of those days? Maybe your alarm didn't go off, you tripped on the way to school, or a friend said something that stung, and then you tell yourself, it's just a bad day. It's a simple phrase, right? But sometimes it's also one of the quiet lies we tell ourselves to keep going, to feel okay. Here's the thing, calling it just a bad day is a way of putting a messy feeling into a neat little box. We do it to shrink big problems or deep sadness into something small and temporary. It's like saying a scratch on your arm is just a scratch when maybe deep down, you know it's connected to a bigger bruise you haven't looked at yet. People have done this for ages. Long ago, thinkers like the Stoics knew that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. So, telling yourself it's just a bad day can be a way of pushing past the moment, a mental trick to keep going. Imagine you have a really tough day at school. You fail a pop quiz, then spill your lunch on your favorite shirt, and later you have a disagreement with a close friend. You get home and think, ugh, what a terrible day. So you try to shake it off, convincing yourself it was just a random collection of unfortunate events. And sometimes, that's truly all it is. But what if those feelings of failure or sadness are actually popping up often? What if you've been having just a bad day more often than not? This isn't about making every small problem into a huge deal. It's about being honest with yourself. It's okay to have a truly bad day and move on. But it's also okay to pause and ask, is there something more going on here? Sometimes, the quiet lie of, it's just a bad day, keeps us from noticing a pattern or a deeper feeling we need to look at. And that's why it matters. Acknowledging our true feelings, even the messy ones, is a kind way to care for ourselves. Have you ever felt like you just knew you were right about something? Like, truly, deep down, you couldn't possibly be wrong, even when someone else saw things in a totally different way? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This idea, I'm always right, is one of those hidden little tricks our minds play on us. It's not about being stubborn on purpose. It's more like our brain's way of trying to keep things neat and tidy inside our heads. So, what is it? It's this natural human tendency to believe our own thoughts and beliefs are the best or most accurate ones. Our brains like to build a story, a worldview, where we are the reliable narrators. And changing that story can feel really uncomfortable, almost like admitting defeat. It's easier to just stick to what we already think we know. People have noticed this about us for a very long time. Thinkers from ancient Greece, like a wise man named Socrates, spent their lives asking questions. He wasn't trying to prove people wrong, but to help them see that sometimes what they thought they knew wasn't the whole truth. He suggested that true wisdom came from knowing how much you don't know, and that's pretty deep. It shows us that humans have always struggled with being open to new ideas, especially if those ideas challenge what we believe. Here's an example. Imagine you and a friend are watching a soccer game, and the referee makes a call you both disagree on. You see it one way, your friend another. You might both argue that the replay clearly shows you're right, even if it looks different to someone else. It's like our brain has its own favorite filter, and it makes everything look like it supports our view. But here's the thing. It takes real strength to pause and consider that maybe, just maybe, our view isn't the only one. It takes courage to say, what if I'm not seeing the whole picture? When we can do that, we don't just stay the same. We grow, we learn, and that's way more powerful than just always being right. It's about being open to understanding, which makes the world and our own minds much bigger. Have you ever said, I don't care what they say, but secretly, a little part of you did? It's a common feeling, isn't it? This phrase is one of those gentle lies we often tell ourselves. It's like building a soft, invisible wall around our feelings. When someone says something mean or judges us, we quickly put up this wall. We tell ourselves their words don't matter, that we are strong enough to let them just bounce right off. Here's the thing, we're human, and humans care what others think, at least sometimes. It's a natural part of being a social creature. Back in ancient times, philosophers like the Stoics thought a lot about this. They believed that while you can't control what other people say or do, you can absolutely control how you react to it. So, when we say I don't care, we're kind of trying to do what they suggested. We're trying to choose not to let someone else's opinion mess with our inner peace. It's a way to guard our heart, even if it means bending the truth to ourselves a tiny bit. Imagine you've practiced really hard for a school play, and someone in the audience whispers a negative comment about your performance. Your first reaction might be to feel a sting, right? But then you might straighten up, take a deep breath, and silently tell yourself, I don't care what they say. I did my best. That quiet lie helps you keep going, helps you not let that one comment ruin your moment or your day. It's like a small emotional shield. It's not about being truly uncaring, but about deciding that some words aren't worth giving your energy to. This little lie lets us keep moving forward, reminding us that our worth isn't decided by others. Sometimes, the quiet belief that we don't care is the very thing that helps us stay calm and keep our own path, even when the world throws words our way. It's a gentle whisper of self-protection. Have you ever told yourself something wasn't a big deal, even when deep down, a quiet voice knew it was? Or convinced yourself you could finish that big assignment later, even when time was running out? We all do it. This is what we mean by the lies we tell ourselves. It's not about being bad. It's how our minds try to make life easier, less scary, or just simpler. Our brains often create small, comforting stories. These help us get through the day without feeling overwhelmed. It's our mind's way of protecting us from things that feel uncomfortable or too real. People have known about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers noticed humans often shy away from painful facts. They saw that believing a comforting untruth felt better than facing a tough reality. It's part of being human, a quiet trick our minds play to keep us feeling okay. This idea is as old as human thought itself. Here's an example. Maybe you really wanted to try out for a school play, but you were super nervous. Instead of facing that fear, you might have told yourself, oh, I'm too busy anyway, or I don't really want to do that. That's a small lie. It's a way to avoid the fear of not making it, or the effort. Your brain just made up an easier path. These lies are often soft whispers inside our heads. They are like a gentle hum, a quiet song our mind sings to soothe us when life gets difficult. They offer a bit of peace, even if it's only for a little while. Understanding this isn't about judging ourselves. It's about simply noticing how our minds work. It's realizing the path that feels easiest isn't always the clearest. This awareness is a first step towards seeing ourselves with more honesty, and perhaps with more kindness. Because even these small deceptions come from a place of trying to survive. Seeing that simple truth can be a powerful kind of wisdom. Have you ever told yourself you didn't need anyone? That being by yourself felt completely fine, even when deep down, a tiny part of you wished for company? This quiet thought, "I'm totally fine alone," can be one of those lies we tell ourselves to stay sane. It's like building a wall around your feelings. We use it to protect ourselves from feeling left out, or from the worry that maybe no one will understand us. It's often easier to say we don't care than to admit we might need a friend, or just someone to listen. For a very long time, humans have lived in groups. Think about early people, thousands of years ago, hunting together, or living in tribes. They depended on each other to survive. Even big thinkers like Aristotle, who lived in ancient Greece, said that humans are naturally social animals. This means we are kind of built to connect. Our brains are wired for it. So, wanting connection isn't strange. It's just how we are, deep inside. Imagine you're at a new school, and everyone else seems to have friends already. It's easy to stand by yourself at lunch, scrolling on your phone, and quietly tell yourself, "I'm fine, I don't need to talk to anyone." But then, when you see a group laughing, a small part of you might feel a pang, a quiet wish to be part of that laughter. That little pang is the truth peeking through the lie you told yourself. So, maybe being totally fine alone isn't always the full story. Maybe it's okay to admit that sometimes we need people, that we want to share moments, big and small. Letting go of that lie can open the door to real connections, to a feeling of belonging that truly makes us feel okay, whether we're together or spending time quietly by ourselves. Have you ever found yourself saying or hearing someone else say, "Well, it's just how life is," maybe after something disappointing happened, or when things felt unfair? It's a common phrase, isn't it? But have you ever stopped to think about what we're really doing when we say that? It's often one of those quiet lies we tell ourselves. Here's the thing. This phrase is a way we try to make sense of the world, especially when it feels messy or out of our control. We use it to explain away things that are difficult, sad, or confusing. It helps us cope by putting a lid on strong feelings like frustration or sadness. It's like a mental shortcut, letting us quickly move past something uncomfortable without having to dig deep into why it happened or how we truly feel about it. Throughout history, people have wrestled with this idea of accepting fate. Think about the ancient Greek philosophers, like the Stoics. They believed that a lot of life is beyond our control. Things like the weather, other people's actions, or even how long we live. So their advice was to focus on what you can control, which is your own attitude and how you react to things. They learned to accept what they couldn't change. But here's the difference. They chose acceptance mindfully. Our "it's just how life is" can sometimes be a less thoughtful, more automatic surrender. Imagine you spent hours building an amazing sandcastle at the beach, only for the tide to come in and wash it away. You might sigh and say, "Well, it's just how life is." And yes, the tide does come in, that's a fact. But if you then use that phrase to avoid feeling the disappointment, or to stop yourself from trying to build another one the next day, it becomes a kind of quiet lie. It stops you from exploring your feelings or finding new solutions. So, while there are absolutely things we can't change, using this phrase without thinking can sometimes block us. It can make us give up on trying to improve things, or it can keep us from truly feeling and understanding our own emotions. It's about finding a balance, knowing when to accept what truly can't be helped, and when to realize that maybe, just maybe, things don't have to be just how life is. Have you ever said, "Oh, I just winged it," or "I didn't even study," when you actually worked hard? Or perhaps you tell yourself you're fine with a B, even when deep down you wished for an A? This is a little lie many of us tell. We say, "I'm not trying to be perfect," but sometimes it's a quiet way to protect ourselves from the sting of not being perfect. Here's the thing. Trying to be perfect feels like carrying a heavy backpack. It's a huge pressure, making us feel like we must get everything right, always. So, we sometimes pretend we don't care, or that we're not even trying. This helps us avoid the fear of failing. If you claim you didn't try, then failing doesn't hurt as much, right? And if you do well, it looks like magic. But the truth is, most of us do try. We care. And that's perfectly okay. People have always thought about perfection. In ancient Greece, philosophers imagined ideals, perfect shapes, or ways of living. But even then, they knew true perfection was almost impossible in real life. It was a goal to strive for, not something anyone truly reached. The idea was to try your best, knowing you'd fall short sometimes. We're human, and humans make mistakes. This lie about not trying to be perfect is our mind giving itself a break from that old, impossible ideal. Consider a musician who says, "I wasn't even thinking about the notes," after playing a flawless piece. They said it, but you know they practiced, they focused. This happens because admitting how much we care, how much we want to be great can feel risky. It makes us vulnerable. But here's what I found. Just being honest about wanting to do well can actually lift a weight. It's okay to want to be your best. And it's even more okay not to be perfect, because nobody is. That's the real freedom. Have you ever done something small or big and felt a strange stiffness inside when it came time to say sorry? It's like a quiet voice whispers, "You don't need to apologize." We tell ourselves this lie to feel strong, to avoid the sting of admitting we made a mistake, or to keep a perfect image. But what if that whisper is actually holding us back? This reluctance isn't new. For a long time, in many cultures, admitting fault was seen as weakness. Many leaders in history projected an image of always being right. To apologize might have meant losing face, like giving up power. But wise thinkers, people who study life deeply, remind us that real strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up and making things right. Sometimes getting up means reaching out a hand and saying, "My bad." It's a bit like building with Legos and a piece pops off. You try to force it back on instead of fixing it right. You tell yourself, "It's fine. It doesn't need fixing." But the whole structure feels wobbly, right? When we hold on to that lie, "I don't need to apologize," our connections with others can become wobbly too. Maybe you said something thoughtless to a friend. Instead of just saying, "I didn't mean it that way," you let it hang. The friendship doesn't break, but a crack appears. True apologies aren't about shame. They're about courage. They are how we rebuild trust, how we learn, and how we show we value our relationships more than our own pride. When we let go of that lie, we find a quiet strength. Saying, "I'm sorry," isn't a sign of weakness, but a powerful step towards honesty, healing, and growing. It's a way to mend not just what's broken, but also what's held inside us. Have you ever sat quietly, maybe in your room late at night, and felt a thought or a feeling so specific, so strange, that you were sure no one else in the entire world could possibly feel it too? Maybe it was a weird worry about something small, a sudden burst of sadness for no clear reason, or even a moment of feeling totally lost and unsure about everything. It's a powerful thought, the idea that you're completely alone in how you experience the world, isn't it? But here's the thing, that very thought itself, "It's only me who feels this way," is one of the biggest lies we often tell ourselves to stay sane. We hide our true feelings sometimes, even from ourselves, because we think they're too odd or too heavy for others to understand. This idea that our inner world is totally unique can make us feel isolated. But if you look closely, throughout history, thinkers and poets have always talked about common human emotions, things like fear, joy, sorrow, and doubt. From ancient Greek philosophers wondering about human nature to Shakespeare's plays exploring deep feelings, they all suggest that what we feel inside is part of a shared human experience. It's a pattern woven into all of us. Think about standing up to give a presentation and your hands start shaking, or you trip and feel like everyone saw it. In that moment, your mind might scream, "I'm the only clumsy person. Everyone else is perfect." But almost every single person has had a moment of intense embarrassment or felt those shaky nerves. It's a silent, shared secret. Our brains just trick us into thinking we're the only ones under the spotlight of judgment. So, when that quiet voice whispers that you're alone in your thoughts or worries, remember this: the chances are someone else, somewhere, right now, is feeling something very similar. Knowing this doesn't fix everything, but it can make the world feel a little less lonely. It helps us remember that our deepest, most private feelings are often just threads in the vast, common tapestry of being human. And that's a pretty comforting thought. Have you ever said, "I'm not worried," but deep down, a little knot of nerves twisted in your stomach? It's common. This phrase can be a quiet lie we tell, not to trick others, but to help ourselves. It's like a secret agreement with our minds, a way to calm inner jitters. We use this phrase as a shield. When we say we aren't worried, we're often trying to convince ourselves we can handle what comes next. It's a way of pushing down fear, telling anxiety to calm down. We do this to stay sane, to keep our heads clear when things are uncertain. It's a tool to find a sense of control, even if that control is just a feeling. People have done this for a very long time. Ancient Stoic thinkers talked about handling what's in front of you. They believe much worry comes from things we can't change. So they taught focusing on what you can control. Your actions and reactions helps find peace. Saying, "I'm not worried," is putting this into practice. You choose calmness over panic. Imagine a big presentation in class. Your stomach might flip, but if a friend asks if you're nervous, you might shrug. "Nah, not worried." That isn't a lie to them. It's more a message to yourself. It helps you breathe, gather thoughts, and step up. It's like a mental reset button. So, this quiet fib isn't about being dishonest. It's often a gentle push toward courage. It's a way we protect our inner peace, keeping worry from taking over. It shows how strong our minds can be, how we find calm even when things feel shaky. It's a gentle, necessary lie that helps us navigate our world. Have you ever felt like you're always checking where you stand against everyone else? Like life is one big scoreboard, and your own value depends on how you measure up? It's a common feeling, this belief that we have to be better than someone to be good enough. But this idea that our lives are a constant competition is one of the quiet lies we often tell ourselves. We think it keeps us moving forward, but sometimes it just makes us feel less than. The real truth is, your life isn't a race with others. It's not about trying to win against your friends, your classmates, or even people you see online. This focus on constant comparison, on beating others, is not a new idea, but wise people through history have questioned it. Ancient philosophers from places like Greece or ancient China often spoke about building your character and finding inner peace. They believed that true strength and joy came from within you, from working on yourself, not from showing others you were superior. They knew that chasing external wins was a never-ending road that rarely led to true happiness. Think about a forest, a quiet place where everything grows. A towering oak tree doesn't measure itself against a bright, delicate fern growing at its base. The fern doesn't worry that it's not as tall as the oak. Each plant simply does what it's meant to do. It grows at its own pace, reaches for the light in its own way, and fulfills its own purpose. They coexist, each beautiful and essential in its own right, without trying to outperform each other. So, if nature shows us this peaceful coexistence, why do we humans get so caught up in who's smarter, faster, or more popular? Maybe it's just a habit, a way we've been taught to see the world. But imagine finding freedom in your own lane. What if you focused only on becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday? There is a deep, quiet comfort in understanding that your path is truly your own. It's a journey not to win against others, but to discover and build who you truly are. And that, in itself, is more than enough. It's everything. Have you ever told yourself or someone else, "I'm just being realistic"? It feels like speaking the plain truth. We use this phrase when we want to sound smart or tough, especially about hard situations or things we want but fear we won't get. But sometimes, this realism isn't about truly seeing the world. It can be a quiet lie we tell ourselves to stay safe. It's like building a small fence around our hopes to avoid disappointment. We whisper, "I'm just being realistic," when deep down, we're afraid to hope, afraid to try, or afraid to fail. We use it to avoid the uncomfortable feeling of wanting something badly and maybe not getting it. Think about ancient philosophers like the Stoics. They believed in facing reality, accepting what you couldn't change. This sounds like being realistic, but their wisdom also taught us to focus on what is in our power, our effort, our attitude, our choices. The lie comes in when we use realism as an excuse not to act. It's when we give up before we even begin. Imagine you want to try out for the school track team. You might tell yourself, I'm just being realistic, I'm not fast enough, and because of that thought, you don't even go to tryouts. Your realism didn't protect you from failure. It kept you from even having a chance. It closed the door before you knew what was behind it. So when we say, I'm just being realistic, are we truly seeing things as they are, or are we letting a tiny fear dress up as wisdom? Perhaps true realism isn't just about what we can't do. Maybe it's also about seeing all the possibilities, even small ones, and finding the courage to try anyway. It's about not letting fear shrink our world, but understanding that even hard paths can hold unexpected joys. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, I can totally do this by myself? Maybe you felt that stubborn urge, that quiet whisper inside saying you don't need anyone's help, anyone's comfort, or anyone's company. This idea, I don't need anyone, is one of those powerful lies we sometimes tell ourselves to feel strong, to feel in control. But here's the thing, humans are naturally built for connection. For thousands of years, way back to the earliest times, people lived in tribes and communities. They hunted together, built shelters together, and shared stories around a fire. Ancient thinkers like the Greek philosopher Aristotle called us social animals. He meant that we truly thrive, learn, and grow when we are connected to others. It's not about being weak, it's just how we are wired. Think about a scientist working on a cure for a disease. Do they do it all alone? Not usually. They build on the research of countless other scientists who came before them. They talk to colleagues, share ideas, and get feedback. Their breakthroughs often happen because of a whole network of people, not just one person in a lab by themselves. It's like building a complex Lego set. You might start alone, but sometimes a second pair of eyes or a shared idea makes it easier and more fun. This lie, I don't need anyone, often comes from a place of wanting to protect ourselves from hurt or disappointment. It promises a kind of independence. But true strength isn't about being a lone island. It's about knowing when to reach out, when to offer help, and when to let others support you. Embracing our need for connection doesn't make us less. It makes us whole. We are all part of a bigger story, woven together, and that's a beautiful thing. Have you ever felt like everything was going wrong, but you kept telling yourself it's just a rough patch, like you're on a bumpy road, and you just know it'll be smooth again soon? This phrase, it's just a rough patch, is one of those quiet lies we sometimes tell ourselves. It's how we try to make big, scary problems feel smaller and easier. It's a whisper of hope, yes, but it can also be a gentle nudge to ignore what's truly happening. We use it to convince ourselves that a deep crack in the sidewalk is just a tiny pebble we can step over. Think about it. People have always tried to make sense of hard times or put on a brave face. Even ancient thinkers knew how tough life could be. Saying it's just a rough patch is our modern way of trying to stay calm in a storm. It's an old trick of the mind, to believe things will get better quickly, even when a part of us knows the struggle might be more serious. Our brain might just be protecting us from feeling too much pain all at once. Imagine your favorite houseplant. It starts to droop, its leaves turning a bit yellow. You might think, oh, it's just a rough patch. Maybe I forgot to water it. But what if you know it's getting too much sun, or its pot is too small, and it needs a new home? Saying rough patch lets you wait, hoping it fixes itself, instead of looking closer for the real problem. So while it feels comforting to say it's just a rough patch, maybe the real strength is to pause, to gently look at the roughness and ask, is this a temporary bump, or is it telling me something more important about where I am? Sometimes the lie isn't to trick others, but to keep ourselves from having to truly see. And really seeing is often the first step toward finding a stronger path forward. Do we truly believe it when we say, I'm not afraid to fail? Or is it a quiet whisper we tell ourselves, hoping it becomes true? This phrase often feels like a shield, a brave face we put on for the world or just for ourselves. But deep down, many of us feel a shiver, a knot in our stomach at the thought of not succeeding. We might worry what others will think or what a misstep means about us. Saying, I'm not afraid to fail can be a gentle lie. It's a way to pretend the path is smooth even when we know it's bumpy. It helps us push forward, yes, but it also ignores a very human feeling, the fear of falling short. Think about people from long ago. The ancient Greek thinker Socrates believed real learning came from figuring out what you didn't know, from making mistakes. In science, Imagine Thomas Edison trying thousands of times to make a light bulb. He didn't see those attempts as failures. Instead, he saw them as steps. He learned what wouldn't work, getting closer to what would. For him, it was all part of discovery. Imagine trying out for the school play. You practice your lines, feeling nervous. You might tell yourself, it's fine if I don't get the lead, I'm not afraid to fail. But that little flutter in your chest, that's normal. It means you care. This feeling isn't bad. It just tells you something truly matters. So maybe real courage isn't about having no fear. It's about facing that fear. It's about choosing to try even when there's a chance of falling short. Failure isn't an end. It's often just another beginning. It's another chance to learn something new about yourself and the world. It's a natural part of growing, and that's what truly helps us move forward. Have you ever felt lost, like nothing makes sense? And then a quiet voice in your head whispers, "Don't worry, it's all going to make sense later." It's a comforting promise we make to ourselves when things feel confusing. This isn't a hurtful lie, but one we use to keep going. It's like a soft blanket for our minds when everything feels sharp and unclear. We use this belief to find peace, even when things are uncertain. Here's the thing. Life doesn't always make sense right away. People have dealt with confusion and hardship for thousands of years. Think about wise thinkers from ancient times, like the Stoics. They believed you can't control what happens, but you can control how you react. They found peace by trusting a larger plan, or by accepting things as they were. They believed all parts of life, even the hard ones, fit into something bigger. This is a way of finding calm when the puzzle pieces don't fit. We tell ourselves there's a reason, a pattern we just haven't seen yet. Imagine you're trying to solve a really complicated puzzle. At first, it's just a jumble of pieces. It feels impossible. Your brain says, how will this ever look right? But you keep trying, matching edges and colors. You trust the process, believing that eventually the picture will appear. You believe it will make sense. And often, it does. That belief helps us keep going through the mess. So, this quiet whisper, "It's all going to make sense," is more than simple hope. It's a deep human way of coping. It lets us breathe when we feel overwhelmed. It's the belief that even in unclear moments, there's a hidden reason or a path forward we haven't seen yet. Understanding often comes in waves, not all at once. That's why it matters. It gives us a reason to keep looking, even when the path is blurry. Have you ever found yourself saying, "Wow, I'm just lucky," when something good happens? Maybe you got a good grade on a test you barely studied for, or you won a random drawing, or something just seemed to fall into place perfectly. It feels good to think that, right? That life is just handing you good things. But what if "I'm just lucky" is sometimes a quiet lie we tell ourselves? It's a gentle way to explain away success, maybe to avoid feeling too proud, or to not have to admit we actually worked hard. Sometimes, it's easier to believe in chance than to acknowledge the effort we put in. This idea of luck or fate has been around for thousands of years. Ancient people often believed in gods or forces that controlled their destiny, like the Greek goddess Tyche, who held the unpredictable wheel of fortune. It was common to think that things just happened to them beyond their power. But over time, thinkers started to wonder how much we truly control. Philosophers, even back then, began to suggest that while some things are indeed random, much of what happens in our lives is shaped by our own choices and persistence. Consider the Stoics, an ancient group of philosophers who believed we should focus on what we can control, our own actions and attitudes, not just hope for good luck. Think about someone who always seems to get chosen for the lead role in a school play. They might shrug and say, "Oh, I'm just lucky." But if you look closer, maybe they've spent countless hours practicing their lines, attending workshops, and studying different characters. Their luck is often the quiet shadow of their dedication and unseen effort. It's like a beautiful, healthy tree that seems to magically grow so tall and strong. You don't see the deep roots it grew to find water or the sun it soaked up every single day. So when we say, "I'm just lucky," maybe we're missing the deeper story. We might be overlooking the small, brave choices we made, the times we kept trying even when it was hard, or the moments we prepared without even realizing it. It reminds us to see the effort, our own and others, woven into the fabric of life's best moments. It's about recognizing that sometimes what we call luck is simply the beautiful outcome of quiet work meeting an open door. Have you ever looked at something, maybe a new pair of shoes everyone wants? Or a spot on the soccer team and told yourself, nah, I don't need that? It's a common thing we do. This phrase, I don't need that, can be a simple statement about not wanting something. But sometimes it's a quiet lie we tell ourselves. It's like a little shield we put up. What does it really mean when we say this? Often, it means we do want something, but we're afraid. Maybe we're afraid we won't get it, or afraid of what getting it might mean. So, we pretend not to care. It's easier to say, I don't need that, than to admit, I really want that, but I'm scared. Think about a time you really wanted to try out for the school play, but then told yourself, I don't need to be on stage. It's fine. That might be this kind of lie. For a long time, thinkers have talked about what we truly need versus what we just want. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, believed that true happiness came from not needing much at all. They practiced living simply, trying to control their minds and feelings, not the outside world. They'd say if you tell yourself you don't need something you truly don't need, that's a kind of freedom. But if you tell yourself you don't need something you secretly crave, just to avoid trying, that's different. So, when we say, I don't need that, it's important to pause and listen to the real voice inside. Is it the voice of calm, strength, truly content without something? Or is it a whisper of fear, trying to protect us from possible disappointment or effort? Real strength often comes from facing what we truly feel, even if that feeling is a quiet longing. Sometimes, admitting, I want that, is the bravest thing we can do, even if the that isn't something we get. It's about being honest with ourselves and understanding the quiet stories we tell inside our own heads. That kind of honesty builds a truer, calmer peace. Why do we sometimes choose to believe a comforting story, even if deep down we know it's not the whole truth? It's a really interesting question, and the answer often comes down to this simple idea. It's just human nature. When we say it's only human in this context, we're talking about our brain's natural way of protecting itself and helping us cope. These aren't bad or mean lies. Instead, they're like small mental adjustments or comforting narratives we create to make a harsh reality a little softer, a difficult moment easier to bear. Think about people from long ago. When they saw lightning flash and heard thunder roar, they didn't have science to explain it. So, they might have imagined powerful gods making noise in the sky or spirits dancing. That story, even if not scientifically true, gave them a way to understand something scary and uncontrollable. It made the world feel less random and more explainable. It's like our brains are natural storytellers, always trying to make sense of everything, sometimes by filling in gaps with what feels right or comforting. Ancient philosophers, for example, often explored how our minds shape what we believe, showing that humans have always used thoughts and ideas to deal with life's big questions and everyday troubles. Here's a way to think about it. Imagine you spent hours on a drawing for art class and it didn't turn out like you hoped. You could stare at it and feel totally defeated, or you could tell yourself, it's just a sketch, I'm still learning, and I can always do better next time. That small shift in thinking, that little comforting idea, helps you keep trying instead of giving up. You're not being dishonest in a bad way. You're just giving your mind a soft place to land. So, this natural ability to tell ourselves these comforting lies isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a strong part of being human. It helps our minds stay balanced and gives us the strength to keep going, even when things are tough. Sometimes, a self-made story is exactly what we need to find a bit of peace and keep moving forward. Have you ever faced something really tough? Something that made your stomach hurt or your hands shake? Maybe a big test, a fight with a friend, or feeling left out? And in that moment, did you tell yourself, I'm stronger than this? We all do. This lie is one of the most common ones we tell ourselves. It's like a secret shield we put up. Here's the thing. When we say, I'm stronger than this, we are trying to believe in ourselves. We're telling our minds to push past the hurt, the fear, or the sadness. It's a way to cope, to survive, to keep moving forward. But sometimes, it's also a way to avoid what we're truly feeling. It's saying, I'm not going to let this get to me even when it totally is getting to you. People have thought about this for a long, long time. Ancient Greek thinkers, like the Stoics, talked about inner strength. They believed you could control your mind even if you couldn't control what happened around you. They said that true power came from within, from how you reacted to things, So, this idea of being stronger inside is really old. It comes from a deep human need to feel capable, to not be crushed by life's difficulties. Think about a time you tried to lift something really heavy. Your muscles burned, maybe you felt like giving up, but you pushed and pushed, telling yourself, I can do this. I'm stronger than this weight. That little whisper in your head helped you keep going. But what if you actually hurt yourself trying? Sometimes, our minds work the same way. We push past our emotional limits, telling ourselves we're fine, when deep down, we might be hurting or truly tired. So, this lie isn't always bad. It can give us courage, it can help us get through hard moments. But it's also important to remember that being strong doesn't mean never feeling weak. Sometimes, the real strength is knowing when to ask for help, or when to just admit, hey, this is really hard and I'm not okay right now. It's okay to feel your feelings, because understanding that lie, understanding why we say it, helps us be more honest with ourselves. And that honesty, that's a different kind of strength. Maybe the truest kind of all. Have you ever felt like you've explained something perfectly, yet the other person just didn't get it? It's a common feeling, isn't it? Your words hang in the air, clear as day, but somehow they just missed the mark. This is where a quiet lie sometimes slips in. It's not my fault they don't get it. It's a shield we hold up, protecting our feelings when our ideas or emotions aren't understood. We shift the blame, believing the problem lies with them, not with how we shared, or even with the idea itself. This feeling isn't new. For a long time, thinkers have wrestled with how people truly understand each other. Think about Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher. He asked deep questions, trying to make people think harder. Often, though, people completely missed his point. They didn't understand the deeper meaning. This challenge of truly connecting one mind to another has always been part of being human. Philosophers still wonder, how can we ever really know if someone understands us, or if we truly understand them? It's a puzzle of shared meaning. Here's an example from daily life. Imagine you're teaching a friend a new skateboard trick or how to solve a tough math problem. You show them, you explain it step by step, but they keep doing it wrong, or their eyes glaze over. It's easy to think, they're just not listening, or this is too hard for them. But maybe, just maybe, the way you explained it wasn't as clear as you thought. Perhaps you used words they didn't know, or you skipped a step you thought was obvious. Or maybe the trick just doesn't make sense to them the same way it does to you. This lie helps us avoid feeling frustrated or like we failed. It's a kind of comfort. But here's the important part. Real understanding is a 12-way street. It means taking some responsibility for how we share our thoughts. And it also means accepting that sometimes people just see things differently, no matter how perfectly we explain. It's about letting go of the need to always be right. The peace comes not from being totally understood, but from accepting that we all see the world through our own unique lens. Have you ever said, oh, I'm just doing this for me, even when you secretly hoped someone would notice? It's a common thought, isn't it? This idea, I'm not trying to impress anyone, is often one of the quiet lies we tell ourselves. It's a way to feel strong, to pretend we don't care what others think. But the truth is, deep in our hearts, most of us do care. We want to be seen, to be valued, to belong. For a long time, thinkers have explored this push and pull between who we are and who we show the world. Ancient Greek philosophers talked about focusing on our own thoughts and actions instead of worrying about others' opinions. But even they knew it was hard. Humans are social beings. From the very first groups, our survival depended on fitting in, on being accepted. So, wanting approval is kind of built into us. It's a powerful, almost invisible feeling in our lives. Think about it like this. Maybe you spend extra time picking out an outfit for school, telling yourself it's just because you like how it looks. Or you practice a skill for hours, saying it's purely for yourself. And part of that is true, but isn't there a little part of you that hopes someone will notice the cool shirt or see how much you've improved? It's like a plant leaning towards the sun. It's naturally seeking what helps it grow, and for us, that often includes some warmth from others. So maybe this lie isn't about not wanting to impress anyone. Maybe it's about not wanting to admit we do. Saying, I'm not trying to impress anyone can protect a tender part of us. It lets us feel independent, even when we're connected to everyone around us. And that's okay. Understanding this quiet human need, this gentle pull towards being seen, helps us be more honest. It helps us find balance, doing things for our own joy, yes, but also accepting that sometimes a little shared warmth from others feels good too. Have you ever looked at something in your life, something you do every day or a rule you follow, and just thought, well, that's just how it is? Maybe it's a family tradition, or a school schedule, or even how we sort our clothes. We often tell ourselves this lie. It's just how things are supposed to be. This lie makes us feel like we have no power, like we're just passengers in a car with a fixed route. It's the quiet whisper that tells us not to question, not to wonder if there's another way. But here's the thing. Many of the supposed to be ideas are actually just beliefs or habits that people decided on a long time ago, or even just yesterday. Think about ancient times. For centuries, people believed the sun revolved around the earth. It was just how things were supposed to be. But then, brave thinkers like Copernicus and Galileo dared to ask, is it really? They looked closer and found a different truth. It wasn't about destiny, it was about perspective and observation. Or consider something simpler. Why do we stand in line? It feels like the natural supposed to be way to wait your turn. But it's actually a social rule. A convention that societies learned helps things run smoothly. It's not a law of nature. It's a choice we collectively make. So when we say it's just how things are supposed to be, we're often giving away our chance to think, to create, to change. It's a comfortable thought, sure, because it means we don't have to put in the effort of questioning. But imagine if we gently pushed back on that thought sometimes. What if we asked, is it or could it be different? This quiet questioning is where new ideas are born, and where we find our own gentle power in shaping the world around us, little by little. Have you ever felt a hot wave of frustration? Maybe a tightness in your chest? But then quickly pushed it away, saying to yourself, I'm not angry? It's a common moment, isn't it? This small lie, I'm not angry, is a way our minds try to keep things calm. It's like our brain protects us from a feeling that seems big and scary. But here's the thing, anger is just an emotion, like happiness or sadness. For a long time, people have struggled with strong feelings. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics in old Greece, talked about controlling emotions. But their idea was more about not letting emotions control you, not pretending they weren't there. For many years, showing anger was often seen as weak or out of control. So, we learn from childhood to hide it. We tell ourselves we're not angry because we think it's better or safer to be calm. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a science project that took hours to make, and your little brother accidentally knocks it over. You feel a sudden surge wanting to yell, but instead, you sigh, pick up the pieces, and mumble, it's okay, I'm not mad. That's the lie. You are mad. And that feeling doesn't just disappear. It sits there, tucked away. This lie, I'm not angry, might help us get through a tough moment without a fight. It might make us seem calm. But what happens to the anger we've hidden? It doesn't vanish. Sometimes it can build up like steam in a pot and then burst out later in unexpected ways. Or it might make us feel tired and heavy inside. Learning to notice when we're truly angry, even when it's uncomfortable, is a step towards understanding ourselves better. It's about being honest with the person who matters most, you. And that honesty can lead to real peace, not just a pretend one. Have you ever felt so hurt by someone that the very idea of forgiving them seemed impossible, or even like a betrayal to yourself? It's a common feeling, this deep-seated belief that by holding on to our anger or resentment, we're somehow punishing the person who wronged us. We might tell ourselves, I don't need to forgive them, thinking it keeps us strong, or that it's the only way to acknowledge how much we were hurt. But here's the thing, this thought, while it feels protective, can sometimes be one of those quiet lies we tell ourselves to avoid a harder, more freeing truth. The idea of forgiveness isn't new. For thousands of years, in almost every culture and philosophy, thinkers have talked about what it means to let go of a grudge. Ancient Greek philosophers, spiritual leaders from various faiths, even modern psychologists, have often come to a similar idea. Holding on to anger, even when it feels justified, can be like carrying a heavy, invisible backpack. You're the one feeling the strain, even if the person who put it there has long since walked away. It doesn't mean what they did was okay or that you forget it. It simply means you choose not to let it control your present moment. Think of it like this. Imagine you've tied a really tight knot in a piece of string. This knot represents the hurt or anger you feel. If you just leave it, refusing to untie it, that string stays tangled and unusable, right? The knot isn't really hurting the string itself, but it stops the string from being free and useful. Forgiveness isn't about untying the other person. It's about untying your own string. So when we say I don't need to forgive them, sometimes what we're really doing is choosing to keep that knot tight within ourselves. True forgiveness, then, isn't about excusing someone else's actions. It's a quiet, powerful act of self-care. It's choosing to release the weight, to untie your own string, so you can move forward with less burden, finding a kind of peace that starts from within you. It lets you claim your own calm. Have you ever woken up from a vivid nightmare, heart pounding, only to whisper to yourself, "It's only a dream"? That simple phrase, like a magic spell, calms a racing mind. But here's the thing, we often use this exact lie. It's only a dream, not just when we're asleep, but also in our wide-awake lives. It's a quiet whisper we offer ourselves when something feels too big, too scary, or too hard to face. We push a difficult truth away, making it seem less real, like mist. For centuries, humans have wondered about what's real. Greek thinkers like Plato even wondered if our whole world might just be shadows, not truly real. So, this trick of the mind, where we make unsettling truths feel like an illusion, isn't new. It's a very old way we cope with reality. We tell ourselves stories to make sense of things, and sometimes those stories are about pretending things aren't as serious as they seem. Imagine you're really worried about a friendship that's falling apart. Instead of talking about it, you might quietly think, "Oh, it's just a rough patch, it'll blow over soon." You're treating that painful situation like a bad dream you can ignore. Or, if a big problem at school feels too much, you might say, "It's not that big of a deal," making it seem less threatening. This inner voice whispers that tough parts aren't truly real, just fleeting images. This quiet lie, "It's only a dream," can offer a moment of peace. It's like pressing pause on anxiety. But here's the truth. Real problems don't vanish just because we label them a dream. By denying something's reality, even for comfort, we might miss the chance to understand it, learn from it, or change it. It's a comforting thought, yes, but also a delicate shield against what's truly there, waiting for us to see it clearly. Have you ever faced something so hard, so difficult to accept, that a part of you just whispered, "Number, not really. That's not true"? This feeling, "I'm not giving in," isn't always about fighting someone else. Sometimes it's a quiet battle within ourselves. It's about choosing, even for a little while, to believe a comforting untruth instead of a painful fact. Here's the thing, sometimes our minds create a small, soft shield. This shield helps us deal with a reality that feels too big or too sharp to handle right now. It's like when you're very tired and you tell yourself, "I'm not tired at all. I can keep going," even though your eyes are closing. That's a small lie you tell yourself to push through. It's a way your brain protects itself from being overwhelmed. This isn't new. People have been doing this for all of history. Think about how ancient cultures created myths about brave heroes or powerful gods. When a volcano erupted, instead of just feeling helpless, they might have believed a god was angry. That story, that lie, gave them a way to understand something terrifying. It offered a kind of comfort, a way to cope, even if it wasn't the factual truth. It was a shield against pure chaos. Imagine a painter who works for weeks on a piece, then spills paint all over it. Instead of saying, "My art is ruined," they might tell themselves, "It's just a challenge. I can fix this. It's not really damaged." This isn't denial meant to trick others, but a self-belief that lets them keep going to find a new way forward. The lie keeps hope alive. So, "I'm not giving in" is often a quiet act of self-care. It buys us time. It lets us breathe when the truth feels like a heavy stone. It's a temporary place where our spirit can rest, gathering strength until we are truly ready to face what's real. It reminds us that sometimes hope needs a little cushion to land on. Have you ever found yourself saying, "I don't have to like this, I just have to do it"? Maybe it was about a chore, a tough assignment, or a long family dinner. This phrase is a quiet agreement we make with ourselves, meant to help us push through discomfort. It feels true, right? Like a practical way to deal with life's less fun parts. But sometimes, this very idea, this belief can be one of those clever lies we tell ourselves to stay sane. It's true, we don't have to feel warm and fuzzy about every task. You don't have to love cleaning your room to get it done. And that's a useful way to think. Some ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, believed peace comes from accepting what is, especially things outside our control. They taught you can't always change events, but you can choose how you react. So, saying I don't have to like it can be a way of choosing acceptance over resistance. It's a mental trick to keep going. But where does the lie come in? Sometimes saying I don't have to like it becomes a wall we build. It stops us from truly looking at why we don't like something, or if there's a deeper feeling we're avoiding. Imagine a class you struggle with. Saying I don't have to like math helps you open the textbook, but it might stop you from asking for help or finding a new way to understand it. It can keep you stuck in just enduring, instead of exploring if there's a way to make peace with it. The lie isn't that you must like everything. That would be impossible. The lie is telling yourself you can completely separate your feelings from your experience, and that this separation always leads to peace. Sometimes, by closing off the possibility of ever liking something, we miss out on a chance for growth or new understanding. It's about balance, accepting what is, but also being honest about how we truly feel. Because sometimes, true sanity comes not from ignoring our dislikes, but from understanding them. Have you ever faced something that felt huge, like a really tough exam or a big tryout, and you whisper to yourself, "It's just a test"? We've all been there. This simple phrase is one of those gentle lies we tell our minds. It helps us deal with the nervous butterflies, to make the moment feel smaller, less scary. What we're really doing is taking a giant, overwhelming feeling and shrinking it down. We know it is a test, of course, but adding just before it makes it sound like it doesn't matter as much. It's a trick our brain plays to dial down the pressure, to help us breathe and focus instead of freezing up with fear. Think about people throughout history who faced big challenges. From ancient Greek philosophers like the Stoics, who believed in focusing only on what you can control, to everyday people facing tough choices. They didn't have a phrase like, "it's just a test" back then, but the idea was similar. It's about finding a way to stay calm when things feel out of control, to keep moving forward despite fear. So, when you say, "it's just a test," before a big presentation in class, you're not saying it's not important. You're telling your brain, hey, this moment won't last forever. It's a step, not the whole journey. It's like when a scientist is trying out a new idea in the lab. They call it an experiment. If it doesn't work, it's not a failure, just a result that teaches them something new. And that's why this small lie can be a powerful one. It helps us put one foot in front of the other. It lets us try, even when success feels uncertain. In those moments, it's just a test. Isn't about ignoring the challenge. It's about choosing courage, even if that courage comes from a gentle whisper of self-deception, helping us to stay sane and keep pushing through. Do you ever find yourself saying, "I'm always happy," or "everything's great"? Even when a tiny part of you knows it's not quite true, it's a common thing we do. This idea, this lie we tell ourselves is that we must always be cheerful, always positive, no matter what. It's like wearing a mask of smiles, even when our heart feels heavy or our mind is swirling with worries. We say it to ourselves and sometimes to others to avoid feeling uncomfortable feelings. We tell ourselves this because maybe we think feeling sad or angry is wrong or a sign of weakness. But here's the thing, real life isn't just one emotion. Think about a rainbow. It needs many colors to be complete and beautiful. Our inner world is like that too. We have joy, yes, but also sadness, frustration, curiosity, and calm. Philosophers, people who study big ideas, have thought about this for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks, for example, talked about finding a balanced life, not just a constantly happy one. They knew that facing challenging feelings, not hiding from them, was part of becoming a strong person. They understood that growth often comes from accepting all parts of our experience. Imagine a scientist studying the weather. They wouldn't just look for sunny days. They'd study rain, snow, and storms too, because all of it is part of the complete weather system. Our feelings are like that. If you only let yourself feel happy, it's like only noticing the sun and pretending the clouds don't exist. But the clouds are part of the sky, and they bring important rain. So maybe the true strength isn't in pretending we're always happy. Maybe it's in quietly allowing ourselves to feel whatever comes. It's about understanding that every emotion, even the difficult ones, teaches us something important. It's about accepting the whole journey of being human, with all its light and shadow. Have you ever felt a heavy feeling inside, like a secret weight, and told yourself, "It's fine, I don't need to talk about this"? We all do it. This quiet whisper is a lie we tell ourselves to keep things calm. We hope if we stay silent, the problem or pain will just fade away, like smoke. But what we don't talk about often doesn't vanish. It stays hidden, sometimes growing heavier. This idea of keeping feelings locked away isn't new. For a long time, some old philosophies taught that showing no emotion, being stoic, was a sign of strength. The ancient Greek Stoics, for example, thought true wisdom meant not letting outer events bother your inner peace. They believed you should control reactions, building a wall around feelings. That can help you stay calm in tough times. But modern thinking, especially in psychology, shows something else. It says true strength also means understanding our feelings, not just burying them. Think of a pebble in your shoe. You can ignore it and keep walking, but it's still there, rubbing, making you uncomfortable. It might even cause a blister. Talking about the pebble, just naming it, is like taking off your shoe and shaking it out. When we hold on to difficult thoughts, they can feel like that pebble. They don't disappear just because we wish them to. They take up space, making us feel tired, stressed, or lonely. Sometimes, putting words to a feeling, letting it out, can make it lighter. It's not about making a big fuss, but gently caring for what's inside. Maybe the brave act isn't to hide it all, but to share a piece, letting light touch what was in shadows. And that can make all the difference. Have you ever told yourself something wasn't a big deal, even when deep down you knew it was? This is one of those gentle lies we whisper. It's a quiet trick our minds play to protect us. It's the voice that says, "Oh, that test wasn't important," or "It's fine, I didn't get invited. I didn't really want to go." Here's how it works. When something hurts or feels too big, our brain tries to shrink it. We make its importance smaller. It's like putting a soft blanket over a sharp edge to dull the pain. This isn't about being dishonest to others. It's about calming ourselves inside. It's a shield, built from words, against the sting of fear, sadness, or deep disappointment. People have done this for a very long time. Ancient thinkers knew life throws tough stuff at us. Sometimes telling yourself it's not that important is a simple version of their wisdom. It helps you let go of things outside your control, or at least feel like you can. It helps manage the weight. For example, maybe you practiced hard for a game and your team lost badly. It probably stings. But you might hear yourself say, it's just a game. It's not that important. While it is just a game, your effort and hope were real. That lie helps push past the immediate sting of defeat. It helps you keep your head up. This little lie can be a friend. It helps us move forward when things feel too big. It's like a mental pause button, giving us time to breathe. But if we use it too often, we might miss understanding our true feelings. We might not learn or find the comfort we need. So, it's about finding that balance, knowing when to truly let go and when to truly feel what's there, no matter how big it seems. Have you ever felt truly stuck? Like you're trapped in a situation, a feeling, or even just a long, boring afternoon? That sense of being unable to move, unable to change things, is one of the quiet lies we sometimes tell ourselves. We say, "I'm not stuck here," but deep down, we might believe we are, even when it's not quite true. This idea that we're not really stuck isn't just hopeful thinking. It's how our minds try to protect us. When things get hard, it can feel easier to just accept them. Our minds tell us, well, this is just how it is, instead of facing the effort or fear of trying something new. But often, we're not truly stuck. Our minds just tell us we are to avoid the discomfort of change. Ancient thinkers like the Stoic philosophers talked about this. They knew that even if your body was in one place, your thoughts and how you reacted could always be free. Epictetus, a famous Stoic, taught that no one could control your inner thoughts or your choices. He believed your mind was always yours, no matter what. Here's a simple way to picture it. Imagine a tough puzzle. For a moment you might think, I'm totally stuck. But can you turn the puzzle, look from a different angle, or take a short break? Life can be like that. You might feel stuck in a difficult class or a tricky problem with a friend, but you can talk to someone, try a different approach, or give yourself space to think. The truth is, feeling stuck is often just a feeling, not a fixed reality. There are almost always small ways you can move, a new way to see things, or a path you haven't noticed yet. Even if big things can't change right away, your thoughts about them can, and that kind of freedom, the freedom of your own mind, is something no one can ever truly take away. Have you ever felt like you needed a nod or a go-ahead from someone else before you could truly be yourself or follow your own path? It's a common feeling, this quiet search for approval. But here's the thing. One of the deepest lies we sometimes tell ourselves is that we need permission to be who we are, to chase what our heart wants, or to believe what feels true to us. When we say, "I don't need their permission," it means we're choosing to trust our own inner voice more than the whispers or shouts from outside. It's about understanding that our worth isn't decided by what others think or say about us. It's a simple, profound idea. You are enough, just as you are, without anyone else's stamp of approval. Long ago, thinkers like the Stoics in ancient Greece and Rome talked about focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your choices, your actions, rather than what you can't, like other people's opinions. Much later, an American writer named Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote about self-reliance, which is very similar. He believed in listening to your own spirit, trusting your own judgment, and not conforming to what everyone else expects. The core idea has always been that your truest self has its own light, its own reason for being, and it doesn't need someone else to switch it on or off. Think about a time you really wanted to try something new, maybe a different style of art, or a sport your friends didn't play. Or perhaps you wanted to share an opinion in class that you knew might be unpopular. Not needing permission means you can pick up that paintbrush, or step onto that field, or speak your mind without waiting for others to say it's okay. It's like a tree growing tall. It doesn't ask the other trees if it's allowed to reach for the sky. It just does. This quiet, inner strength frees us. It lets us choose our own direction, guided by a steady hand from within, rather than constantly looking over our shoulder for someone else's approval. It's a gentle kind of freedom, one that helps us stand a little taller and breathe a little easier in our own skin. Have you ever found yourself doing something, maybe a school tradition or a family routine, and then someone asks, "Why do you do that?" And your answer is "It's just the way things are done"? This simple phrase is one of the quietest lies we tell ourselves. It's a comfortable way to avoid thinking, to avoid challenging, and sometimes to avoid feeling different. It keeps the world predictable, a secret agreement we make with ourselves. Don't look too closely, just follow along. For thousands of years, people lived by traditions passed down. Why did they farm a certain way? Often because our parents did it and their parents before them. But sometimes old reasons fade, yet the action remains. Thinkers like Socrates, a famous ancient Greek philosopher, were known for always asking why. He believed we should always question things, not just accept them. He saw how powerful that simple question could be. Imagine a school rule. Always walk on one side of the hallway, even if the other side is empty. No one knows why. Maybe it avoided traffic jams long ago, but now it's just the way things are done. You follow it because everyone else does, and it's easier than asking to change it. The lie of "it's just the way things are done" offers a kind of peace. But the truth it hides is that we always have the power to ask why. We don't have to break every rule, but understanding its purpose helps us live more thoughtfully. It helps us choose our way instead of just drifting along. Do you ever scroll through social media, seeing friends on trips or at cool events, and a tiny voice whispers, "I wish I was there." But then another voice kicks in, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not missing anything." This declaration, "I'm not missing anything," is a quiet lie we tell ourselves. It's often our mind's protection, a soft shield. It helps us avoid feeling left out or sad. If we convince ourselves something isn't worth having, we avoid feeling bad. We make our world feel complete. Think about the fox and the grapes. A hungry fox sees delicious grapes, but they are too high. He tries and fails, then tells himself, those grapes were probably sour anyway. He tells himself he wasn't missing anything good. This isn't just an old story, it's very human. Thinkers have long seen how we twist our thoughts to fit what's real, especially when facts can't be changed. it's easier to believe we don't want what we can't have. So if your friends go to a concert you couldn't get tickets for, you might say, oh, concerts are too loud and crowded. I'm fine staying home. You're not lying meanly, but creating a comfortable truth. This helps you feel content and safe. But here's the thing. Always saying, I'm not missing anything might close us off. We might stop exploring, thinking there's nothing better. It's okay to admit a small ache, to know good things are happening elsewhere. Sometimes that spark of curiosity, that what if, leads to new discoveries and connections. Be honest with your feelings, even if uncomfortable. Have you ever felt like you needed a final answer, a clear ending, for something tough that happened? Like why a friendship faded, or why a plan fell apart. We often think we need that closure to truly move on. But here's the thing. Sometimes the most powerful truth is that we don't actually need it. To say I don't need closure means accepting that some stories don't have neat, tidy endings. It means you can find peace and move forward even when you don't get all the explanations you might want. It's like when a puzzle piece is missing, but you still understand the picture, and you can still appreciate its beauty. You learn to live with the blank spot. Ancient thinkers, like those called Stoics, often talked about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. They believed that true peace comes from within, not from external things or answers. So not getting closure isn't a failure, it's just something outside your control. And learning to accept that idea is a very old and wise way of thinking. Think about a time a favorite show ended and it left you with a big cliffhanger. You might really want to know what happened next, but the show is over. You don't get the answers. Still, you remember the good parts of the show. You might even imagine your own ending. That's kind of like not needing closure. You can still hold the memories, learn from the experience, and create your own next chapter, even if the why remains a mystery. So, while we often wish for a clear ending, true strength often comes from accepting the unknown. It means taking back your power and deciding for yourself when a chapter is closed, no matter if someone else provides the final word or not. Your peace isn't waiting for an explanation, it's waiting for you to build it right where you are. Have you ever felt a deep worry in your stomach, like a tight knot, but then you whisper to yourself, it's going to be okay? What happens when we say this even when everything feels like it's falling apart? This isn't about ignoring our problems or pretending everything is perfect right now. Instead, think of it as a quiet promise we make to ourselves. It's like our mind hitting a soft reset button when things get too much. It's a gentle truth we borrow from the future, helping us breathe in the present moment, even if it's just for a little while. This small act of telling ourselves it's going to be okay creates a little space for hope to bloom. Throughout history, people have looked for ways to find peace when life gets tough. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, talked a lot about controlling what you can control, mostly your own thoughts and reactions, and not getting stuck on things you can't. Telling yourself it's going to be okay is a bit like that. It's not about changing the problem itself, but about choosing a helpful way to think about it. It's a way of taking back a small piece of control over your own feelings, giving yourself strength when you need it most. Here's an example. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up at school, and you're super nervous, maybe even a little scared. Your mind might be racing with all the ways it could go wrong. But then you tell yourself, it's going to be okay. I've practiced. This isn't a lie that says you'll be perfect or that you won't feel any nerves. Instead, it's a thought that calms your racing heart just enough. It helps you stop panicking and let you focus on what you need to do, like remembering your notes or speaking clearly. It's like turning down the volume on all the loud worries in your head so you can hear your own steady voice. So, this lie isn't really about hiding from truth. Often, it's about building a path towards a better truth. It's a way to keep going, to find the strength, to face what's next, even when you feel like giving up. Sometimes, it's going to be okay isn't just a wish. It's the very first step in making things okay. It reminds us of our own power to handle challenges one breath, one step at a time. It's a gentle nudge towards resilience, helping us trust that we can find a way through and that in time it truly can be okay.